Chapter 575. A Threat. An undisguised threat. If it was at the beginning of the war, Chong Mu would not have hesitated. But now, he hesitated. Chong Mu's clan was the Abysswood clan. They were not weak, but they were not very strong either. They were backed by the Blood Eldar. Because of this, when the Blood Eldar was about to deal with the humans, the Abysswood clan would send powerhouses over. But now, the strength of the humans had completely exceeded the expectations of all the clans. No one had expected that. Under the siege of so many powerhouses, the humans could still hold on and not be defeated. Moreover, judging from the current situation, unless the human emperor was defeated, the hope of the various clans to destroy the humans was not high. In this way, if the humans wanted to deal with the Abysswood clan after this, then the Abysswood clan would definitely not have the strength to resist. Not to mention anything else, just Qin Shujian in front of them was already difficult to resist. However, if they retreated at this time, they would definitely anger the Blood Eldar. If the Blood Eldar wanted to deal with them, the humans would not help. Similarly, if the humans made a move, the Blood Eldar might not necessarily go all out to help. This was the tragedy of a weak clan. If they were not strong, in the end, they would be ruled by others. The Blood Eldar said coldly. Chong Mu, don't listen to his nonsense. Today, the humans will be destroyed. Boom! The stone saber cut through the void and directly caused the Blood Eldar's expression to change drastically. Without thinking, the Blood Eldar took a step back, wanting to avoid the Godslayer's edge. But just as he was about to retreat, his divine consciousness, however, suffered a terrifying attack. Although that attack could not destroy the Blood Eldar's spiritual sense, it could make him stunned for a breath. A battle between powerhouses. A breath of time was enough to change life and death. By the time the Blood Eldar reacted, the stone saber had already slashed over. Not good! Looking at the stone saber, his expression changed drastically. The originally round blade now gave off a sharp feeling that it could cut through everything. The Blood Eldar wanted to retreat. However, he retreated quickly, but the stone saber fell even faster. In an instant, the stone saber slashed down, and the body collapsed. The mighty figure of the Blood Eldar was killed on the spot. With the Godslayer's help and his current strength, Qin Shujian could now easily kill mighty figures. As long as it was not a powerhouse at the level of the High Priest of the God race, he was not worried about anyone else. A cultivator who was only at the 7th stage of the heaven-human realm. From Qin Shujian's point of view, he was a piece of trash that could be killed with a single slash. Combat strength didn't represent everything, but it could explain many things. With Qin Shujian's current level of combat strength, Qin Shujian was able to defeat Qin Shujian. Even if he didn't use lawful embodiment of heaven and earth, Godslayer's original strength combined with his own strength was enough to kill an ordinary mighty figure. The strong would always be strong. This was the logic behind it. Chong Mu looked at the scene in front of him with a dull expression. When Qin Shujian looked at him, an uncontrollable fear appeared in his eyes. Strong! The feeling that Qin Shujian gave him was that he was terrifyingly strong. After killing the mighty figure of the Blood Eldar, Qin Shujian looked at Chong Mu and said indifferently, I'll give you 3 breaths of time to withdraw from the battlefield with your race. Otherwise, after this battle, the human race will destroy your race. Even the Blood Eldar won't be able to protect you. Of course, if you're willing to betray us, the human race can also protect your race in the future. At least, it's impossible for the Blood Eldar to destroy your race. Chong Mu looked conflicted. He didn't want to die. If he fought Qin Shujian with his strength, he would only end up like the mighty figure of the Blood Eldar. Qin Shujian's words made Chong Mu hesitate. Boom! The long river of time shook. The Divine Emperor's body collapsed and fell, and pale golden blood scattered in the void. At the same time, the huge dragon body smashed through the sky, and its scales cracked. The golden lotus dimmed and stone fragments fell. The ancient Buddha was seriously injured, and cracks could be seen on its petrified body. The last was the injured blood Ling Huang and the blood-stained human emperor. The 4 emperors of the 4 clans are just SOSO. Today I'll kill you all! Although the human emperor's body was stained with blood, his aura was terrifying, and it suppressed the emperors of the 4 clans. The divine emperor didn't hesitate to break through the void to escape. While escaping, he let out a furious roar. The god race, retreat! With one word, the god race's experts all turned pale. At this moment, the divine emperor was scared out of his wits. The human emperor was too strong, and the emperors of the 4 clans were no match for him at all. After fighting until now, although the human emperor was injured, they were also seriously injured. If they continued to fight, even if they could kill the human emperor, they would have to pay the price of at least 1 or 2 emperors. To this, who would be willing to be a stepping stone for others? The emperors were the stabilizing force of a race. If the emperors fell, then even if the human race was destroyed, the race they belonged to was destined to be divided by other races. So, the divine emperor was afraid. Not only was he afraid of death, but he was also afraid that after he fell, the god race would follow in the footsteps of the human race. After all, the demon race, Blood Eldar, and other top races had long secretly coveted the god race. If the divine emperor fell, the god race couldn't support too much with just a high priest. Until now, the divine emperor still didn't know that Yuan Feng had been seriously injured by Qin Shujian. But even if he knew, he would only run faster. The divine emperor fled. The experts of the god race retreated one after another. The emperor of their own race had fled, so the other god race didn't dare to continue fighting. Just as the god race retreated, Chongmu also made up his mind and said, "The Abysswood clan will withdraw from this battle, and I hope you will keep your promise." After that, he immediately went to find the top experts of the Abysswood clan. Soon, the Abysswood clan's celestials retreated. The god race had already left. From the state of the emperors of the various races, it was obvious that they couldn't do anything to the human emperor. At this time, the Abysswood clan didn't care whether they would offend the Blood Eldar or not, and directly retreated with them. They would die if they stayed, and they would also die if they retreated. But with the foundation of the Abysswood clan, even if the Blood Eldar really wanted to settle the score, he would have a certain degree of fear. "Lend me the God Slayer!" the human emperor suddenly shouted. Qin Shujian stepped into the air, came to the human emperor's side, and borrowed the God Slayer. Then, the human emperor held the God Slayer, and in the next second, a desolate and ancient aura spread out. The stone knife slashed down with the momentum of the sky, instantly shattering the long river of laws, and then heavily bombarding the demon emperor's body. Roar! The demon emperor let out a sorrowful cry, and his dragon tail directly broke. Seeing this, the demon emperor was also shocked. Zhu Bing! The human emperor's strength was already extremely strong, and with Zhu Bing, he had no chance of resisting. Although the monster race now also had the heavenly demon temple. However, when the heavenly demon temple crossed the Qin River, there was a problem, and they had not fully recovered yet, so the demon emperor did not bring the heavenly demon temple out. With Zhu Bing in hand, and without Zhu Bing in hand, it was a completely different concept. Even with the strength of the demon emperor, he was directly injured in front of the stone knife. All of a sudden, the demon emperor ignored the pain of his broken tail and shouted angrily, "All demons, retreat!" As soon as he finished speaking, his dragon body had already smashed through the void and fled into the distance. The divine emperor retreated. The demon emperor also retreated. The remaining ancient Buddha and blood Ling Huang all retreated without hesitation. Similarly, the experts of the 2 clans also retreated. Seeing this, the human emperor slashed out 2 more times in the air, and the terrifying blade light disappeared into the void. In an instant, the void turned into turbulence, and the figures of blood Ling Huang and the ancient Buddha directly appeared in front of everyone. Then, half of blood Ling Huang's body was broken, and the ancient Buddha had already lost an arm. At this moment, the void turbulence calmed down. But everyone was speechless. 3 slashes, severely injuring the experts of the 3 clans. Fortunately, the Divine Emperor ran fast enough. Otherwise, he would also have to suffer a slash. However, Qin Shujian did not have time to be shocked. He took a step forward and came to the dragon's tail that was about to fall to the ground. Then, he used a method to seal the dragon's tail and compressed it, and then threw it into the storage ring. After that, he crossed thousands of miles of the void and collected the ancient Buddha's arm, as well as Blood Ling Huang's scattered flesh, and threw them all into the storage ring. So many things poured into the storage ring. Just the power that was emitted was about to burst the space inside. Fortunately, Qin Shujian was also a top expert of the array Dao. He set up a restriction in the way of his Star River diagram to temporarily stabilize the space inside the storage ring. Then, he returned to the human clan's camp. At this moment, the human emperor was still standing in the void, and did not do anything. Looking at the other party's appearance, Qin Shujian knew that he was strong on the outside but weak on the inside. Even so, the power that the human emperor had just displayed had already shocked the experts of all the clans. In addition, the God clan, the Demon clan, and other big clans had retreated. The experts of the other clans had also retreated. "Human Emperor, if you don't use the God Slayer, give it back to me," Qin Shujian said. The human emperor shook his head and laughed. "Why? Are you afraid that I'll covet your Zhu Bing?" Even though he said those words, he still returned the ancestral armament. Zhu Bing's power could not be used lightly. Even at his peak, the human emperor could not use Zhu Bing's power many times. Moreover, with the strength of the rulers of the 4 clans, if they really fought to the death from the beginning, the human emperor was not confident that he could win. On the surface, it did not seem to be a big problem. In fact, only the human emperor himself knew that his injuries were not much worse than the divine emperor and the others. He only showed a tough stance. Moreover, when he was fighting against the emperors, he mainly attacked the divine emperor throughout, scaring the divine emperor out of his wits. Then, he used Zhu Bing to catch the demon emperor off guard and severely injure him. Then, he scared away Blood Ling Huang and the ancient Buddha. It could be said that, step by step, the human emperor was treading on thin ice. Once a ruler of a clan was determined to die, the human clan would lose this time. As for the last 2 slashes, they were completely unexpected gains. The human emperor himself did not expect that the rulers of the 2 clans would completely lose their courage. They did not even dare to turn around and resist. They were directly heavily injured by Zhu Bing and fled. Looking at the retreat of the 10,000 clans, the human emperor understood that the human clan had won this battle. However, all generals, listen up. Chase for 100,000 miles and kill the celestial beings of the 10,000 clans. Yes, sir. Of the 4 million troops, less than 3 million were left. The army that was originally 100,000 troops changed their formation at this moment. With 1 million soldiers, their auras soared into the sky as they charged toward a celestial being of the 10,000 clans. At the same time, the remaining powerhouses of the human clan also chased after the 10,000 clans. Now, the human emperor had won. This was the opportunity to beat a drowning dog. As the 4 clans retreated, the other clans did not have the courage to fight with the human clan anymore. Therefore, facing the pursuit of the human clan powerhouses, no one really dared to stay and fight. On the other side, Qin Shujian held the God Slayer in his hand and took a step forward, chasing after an Earth Eldar powerhouse. Pan Shan was retreating when a warning suddenly rose in his heart. When he turned around, he saw Qin Shujian chasing after him. Just a glance made Pan Shan's soul leave his body. "Elder, save me!" As Pan Shan fled, he called for help from the Earth Eldar powerhouses. He did not dare to fight with Qin Shujian. The other party was someone who could severely injure the high priest of the God clan. Not to mention that he was already heavily injured. Even at his peak, Pan Shan did not have the confidence to fight. Hearing Pan Shan's call for help, the Earth Eldar powerhouse's expression changed. Without hesitation, he joined up with Pan Shan and struck out with his palm. True essence shattered the void, trying to force Qin Shujian to stop chasing. Seeing such an attack, Qin Shujian directly slashed out with his blade. The blade light tore through everything. The Earth Eldar powerhouse's expression changed. The river of laws condensed into one, turning into a powerful shield. He roared in a low voice. My Earth Eldar has already retreated from the battle. Human, do you really want to fight to the death with my Eldar? While speaking, the blade light had already slashed down, fiercely colliding with the shield. The laws collapsed and scattered. The Earth Eldar powerhouse coughed out blood and retreated. He then fled with Pan Shan. Qin Shujian took a step forward and chased after them. The Earth Eldar dared to attack the human clan. After today, you will be destroyed by the human clan. I will first kill you all as a sacrifice. His speed was very fast. The Earth Eldar's main strength was defense, but speed was their weakness. It didn't take long for Qin Shujian to catch up. Boom! Boom! The void shattered. A great battle broke out, accompanied by the roars of Pan Shan and the Earth Eldar powerhouses. Not long after, Qin Shujian took a step forward, holding two broken corpses in his hands. The red lotus of purgation ignited. In less than 15 minutes, it was completely refined by him. Pure energy entered his body. One star acupunt after another opened. Qin Shujian split his attention to open his star acupunts. At the same time, he continued to chase after the powerhouses of the other races. This was the best time to harvest the source of life. If he didn't kill more, how could he be worthy of himself? As for whether the red lotus of purgation was exposed or not, it didn't matter at all. As long as he devoured enough powerhouses of the other races, Qin Shujian's strength would become even stronger. At that time, no one in the 4 great continents could threaten him. At that time, naturally, he wouldn't have any worries. Soon, Qin Shujian set his eyes on the powerhouses of another race. They looked a little like demons, but they weren't on the same side as the demons. However, he couldn't be bothered. As long as they weren't humans, he would just kill them. At this moment, the 10,000 races retreated, but the killing did not stop. The human emperor ordered the humans to chase after them for 100,000 kilometers. In a short period of time, heads rolled down. One after another, foreign race powerhouses fell. There were also powerful foreign race powerhouses who wanted to die together with the humans when they saw that they couldn't escape. Because of this, there were also some damages. However, compared to the losses of the various races, the losses of the pursuit were completely bearable. Fighting. How could there be no deaths? As long as they killed more enemies than they killed, it would be the most advantageous. Soon, the humans stopped chasing. At this point, with the entrance of the passage, the area of 100,000 kilometers had fallen into the control of the humans. The human emperor stood in the air and looked at the generals of the imperial court. Pass down my order. The 4 city gates will move away from the eastern continent and occupy the 4 sides of this place. With the city as the boundary, this will be the territory of the humans from now on. Yes. Many powerhouses of the imperial court bowed and accepted the order. Then, the human emperor transformed into his 100,000 feet body again and stood proudly in the sky. Some powerhouses who had already escaped seemed to have sensed something and turned around to see this scene. With the entrance of the passage as the base, the area within 100,000 kilometers is the territory of the humans. If the 10,000 races enter without permission, they will be killed without mercy. His voice was mighty. It even caused the world to rumble. The powerhouses of the 10,000 races fell silent when they heard this. No one refuted the human emperor's words, let alone provoke him. In this battle, the humans suffered heavy losses, and so did the other races. Obviously, the humans were a tough bone that no one else could chew. Even if he tried his best to gnaw on it, it would only end in a lose-lose situation. From the moment they retreated, they had already tacitly agreed to the existence of the humans. It was also at this moment the humans had completely gained a foothold in the 3 continents. On the other side, The 4 cities left the eastern continent and entered the world behind the passage. 4 cities that were thousands of miles long landed at the 4 corners of the sky and earth. At this moment, Qin Shujian also put the God Slayer into his sea of consciousness and then descended from the void. Until now. Only then did he have time to look at the information in the system. After the battle, many disciples of the Yuan sect had also died. The 10,000 races had all sent out their top powerhouses, but some of the weaker races couldn't send out too many celestial beings, so they sent out cultivators below the celestial being level. These cultivators seemed to be useless, but if they took the opportunity to enter the passage, they could cause a lot of killing. Therefore, the role of the cultivators of the various sects was to fight against the people of these races. Again, how could there be no deaths in a war? Qin Shujian looked at the system information above. There were already hundreds of messages, including the deaths of 2 guests of the God Martial Arts realm and several intersect elders. Fortunately, Xingfang and the others were still there. These people all had life-saving trump cards that Qin Shujian had given them. In addition, they were not weak, so there were no problems. On the contrary, the disciples of the true martial arts realm had suffered the most casualties. To this, Qin Shujian didn't care too much. If the disciples died, then he would recruit more. After enjoying the benefits of the Yuan sect, they had to bear the corresponding responsibilities. He wouldn't support such disciples for nothing and then let them do nothing. That was unrealistic. When Qin Shujian found Xingfang and the others, he found that they were not in good condition either. Xingfang, Suyuanming, and the others were all covered in blood. Niu Feng's aura was weak and his body was broken. He was breathing in but not out. Qin Shujian took out a healing elixir and stuffed it into his mouth. Only then did he manage to stabilize his injuries. However, when his gaze fell on Niu Jianfeng, his pupils changed slightly. Now Niu Jianfeng's right arm was broken and the long sword had been transferred from his right hand to his left hand. There were also serious injuries on his body. But the only difference between him and Niu Feng was, even if he was so seriously injured, Niu Jianfeng's aura was not weak at all. On the contrary, the sword intent became more and more fierce, vaguely wanting to pierce the sky. Seeing Qin Shujian's gaze, Niu Jianfeng smiled and said, "It's just a small injury. I won't die for the time being. Even if my right hand is gone, I can still hold the sword with my left hand." "Good." Qin Shujian also nodded slightly at Niu Jianfeng's carefree attitude. Regenerating a broken limb. That was the privilege of a celestial being. It was impossible for a spirit martial realm cultivator to regenerate a broken limb. In other words, if Niu Jianfeng wanted to restore his arm, he had to wait until he broke through to the celestial being level. As for whether he had the chance to break through to the celestial being level, no one could say for sure. But judging from Niu Jianfeng's attitude, he obviously didn't care about his arm. That confidence made Qin Shujian a little ashamed. If it happened to him, it would be a little hard to accept. Then, Qin Shujian looked at Jiang Feng again. This zombie's condition was not very good. The black robe on his body was torn, and his body as hard as iron was also broken a lot. Even his chest was almost pierced through. However, zombies did not feel pain, and their vitality was very tenacious. As a result, Jiang Feng was seriously injured and did not die. At this time, the human emperor said, "Imperial astronomer Fang Yilan, listen to my order." "Yes." "Immediately set up a transmission gate and turn this place into the foundation of our human clan." "Yes, Your Majesty." Fang Yilan bowed and accepted the order. Then, the human emperor looked at the others and said, "The remaining soldiers are to rest in the 4 cities. In addition, the experts and others who participated in the battle will be given a certain amount of compensation according to their merits and casualties. In addition, anyone who participated in the battle today and killed a true martial realm cultivator of the 10,000 clans will be guaranteed the inheritance for 10 years. Those who killed a spirit martial realm cultivator will be guaranteed the inheritance for 100 years. Those who kill the god martial realm cultivator will be guaranteed the inheritance for 1,000 years. As for those who kill the celestial being, their inheritance will be guaranteed for 10,000 years, and they will be given a divine realm cultivation method. Everyone, now that the human clan can no longer have internal strife, I also hope that the cultivation world will not stir up any more trouble. If you want to fight, then fight the 10,000 clans and kill the experts of the 10,000 clans. Anyone who kills the 10,000 clans will be a meritorious minister of the human clan. Even if they die, they will be remembered for eternity. However, if there is internal strife at this time, I will absolutely not tolerate it. If one person kills one person, one sect destroys one sect, and 10 sects kill 10 sects, no matter what merits you have or what status you have, as long as you dare to stir up internal strife in the human clan at this time, I will kill you without a doubt. In addition, pass down my order. From today onwards, the human clan's monument will be built. Anyone who commits the crime of killing the 10,000 clans can leave their deeds on the monument for the human clan to admire for eternity. At the same time, those who participated in the battle today and died in the hands of the 10,000 clans are all heroes of the human clan. They can also be engraved on the monument, and leave their names for eternity. The human emperor's voice was loud and clear as he passed down orders one after another. When everyone heard this, their hearts were filled with excitement. After the human emperor finished speaking, they also bowed slightly and said in unison, "The human emperor is wise." Chapter 576. There were at least 2 to 3 million humans who had died in this battle, and it might be more than that. At this moment, the creation of the human race's monument was undoubtedly an exciting matter. If one could not live forever, but at least one's name would be left behind for eternity. The human emperor's actions could be said to have made many people feel gratified and excited. In addition to that, to be able to leave one's name on the monument after killing the experts of the myriad races was undoubtedly another thing that boosted the morale of the people. As for what the human emperor said, in Qin Shijian's opinion, there was nothing wrong with it. Right now, the human race had suffered too many casualties. Out of the 40 Devis alone, more than 20 had fallen, not to mention the cultivators below the Devis. It could be said that this battle, it almost broke the human race's foundation. However, although the battle was tragic, the final result did not disappoint. The myriad races retreated. In the future, there would be no more races that would provoke the human race. If that was the case, the human race would also have enough time to recuperate. However, it wouldn't be easy for him to fully recover from his injuries. This was because too many experts had fallen in this battle. 2 pavilion elders from the imperial astronomer had fallen, and only the 4 remaining vassals, the divine wind marquis, had fallen. 2 of the 5 generals had also fallen. Even Dan Hao had been severely injured. In addition to that, there was no need to talk about the other experts. As for the cultivation world, a few Devis had also fallen. With the Supreme Sect Master Su Jing as the leader, a total of Devis from the 4 top sects had fallen. It could be said that, if it wasn't for the human emperor's order, the fall of so many experts was enough to cause the entire cultivation world and even the entire human race to be in turmoil. What happened later? It had nothing to do with the other sections. Under the human emperor's orders, the imperial court continuously sent people from the eastern continent to this place. With the area within a radius of 100,000 miles as a foundation, they continued to build and perfect it. It was foreseeable. In the future, this place would become the headquarters for the human race to gain a foothold in the 3 continents. On the other side, Sihahai had already disappeared without a trace. Qin Shijian had originally planned to have a good chat with the number 1 expert of the Sea Cover sect, but for some reason, after the other party killed a 7th level Devis, he completely disappeared without a trace. He seemed to have chased after the myriad races. He was not sure. At this moment, Qin Shijian led the remaining people of Yuan sect back to the eastern continent. Meanwhile, the news that the human clan had broken the heaven and earth restriction walked out of the eastern continent, and started a war with many other clans had spread throughout the three great continents. For the human race, many races were only left with a vague concept. After the destruction of the ancient times, the human race split up. A portion of the human race got rid of their original identity, and called themselves the God race. A portion of the human race retreated from the three major continents, and used the eastern continent as their base to fight against the other races. Therefore, not long after the ancient era was destroyed, the human race had already taken root in the eastern continent. Later on, the immortal of the human race led the experts of the human race to launch the final battle. When he was defeated, he paid the price of his own death to draw the Chen River and set up a heaven and earth restriction, completely sealing off the eastern continent. Ever since then, the human race faded out of the sight of the myriad races. Too many things could be diluted in 200,000 years. Only the monster race, the god race, and a few other races were still determined to kill the human race. The other races did not have much hatred for the human race. The races participating in this battle. There were also many subsidiary forces of these top clans. As for the human race leaving the eastern continent, the other races were also very curious about this. They also wanted to see how powerful the human race was to be able to attract so much attention from these top clans. For this, when the battle began, there were also many experts of the various races who were secretly watching the battle. They had no intention of making a move. Whether the human race won or lost, it did not affect these people at all. However, that battle, it completely shocked these people. The Monster Emperor, the God Emperor, Bloodling Huang, and the ancient Buddha were all supreme experts of the three major continents. They were truly existences at the top of this world. Even if the other races had Nirvana realm experts, it would be difficult for them to compete with the four emperors. Under the circumstances where the rules of heaven and earth were incomplete and immortals did not appear, no one could contend against the four emperors. However, such experts were all seriously injured and defeated by the human emperor of the human race and fled in panic. It could be said that the strength of the human emperor made the experts who were watching the battle tremble in fear. In addition, the ruthlessness and decisiveness of the human race also made these cultivators shocked. They self-destructed at the slightest disagreement. Just the self-destruction of many human experts had dragged many experts of the myriad races into the water. In this battle, the human race regained the momentum of the past. With the strength of one race against more than a dozen races and several times their own strength, they finally won the battle. After this battle, the human race suffered heavy losses. Those top races and affiliated races also suffered heavy casualties, especially the God race. Not to mention the fall of several experts above the 8th level of the celestial being realm. Even the High Priest and the God Emperor were seriously injured. It could be said that, after this battle, the God race had been completely damaged. Without hundreds or thousands of years of recuperation, they would not be able to recover much vitality. In addition to the God race, the Blood Eldar of the Monster race also suffered heavy casualties. The only one who had suffered the least losses should be the ancient Buddha race. From the beginning to the end, only the ancient Buddha Emperor participated in the battle. Although this emperor was also seriously injured by the human emperor, the ancient Buddha race did not lose much strength. Instead, they became the race that suffered the least losses in this battle. As for the affiliated races, needless to say, it was not easy for these races to produce an expert above the 7th level of the celestial being realm. As long as 3 or 4 celestial beings died. Basically, this race was almost crippled. After the battle with the human race, there were also 2 people who were completely remembered by the 3 major continents. One was the human emperor, a supreme expert who had seriously injured the 4 emperors with his own strength. He was worthy of the title of the number 1 person in the 4 major continents. The other was Qin Shujian. In this battle, 6 or 7 great beings had fallen in his hands. He had also seriously injured the High Priest of the Divine Martial race and forced the other party to flee. In terms of true strength, In the eyes of the experts of the various races, Qin Shujian was not much worse than the top emperors. After all, the strength of the high priest of the god race. He was not the slightest bit worse than the emperors of the ordinary races. As for the emperors of the weaker races, they were not qualified to compete with Yuan Feng. Qin Shujian could seriously injure Yuan Feng. His strength was enough to be ranked among the emperors, and not as simple as an ordinary emperor. In other words, in fact, there were two rulers overseeing the humans. Such strength. Only the top races like the monster race and the god race could probably take it out. However, there was a difference between the emperors. For example, the human emperor, who was known as the number one person in the 4 major continents, was enough to contend with several emperors. In this battle with the human race, they had completely displayed their momentum. They had also completely frightened the various races. Therefore, now that the human race had occupied an area with a radius of 100,000 miles, no race dared to say anything, let alone have the courage to provoke the human race. Because the current human race was like a wounded wolf. Whoever dared to provoke the human race would definitely suffer a fatal blow. For this, no race was confident enough to contend with the human race. To put it bluntly, no one could contend with the human emperor. In fact, there were not many experts who had the courage to contend with Qin Shujian. After the battle had calmed down, the 4 major continents had calmed down. The various races had suffered heavy losses. Under such circumstances, no one would easily start any disputes, so they all went back to lick their wounds and wait for time to slowly recover. On the other side, Qin Shujian had already returned to the Yuan sect. In the Qingwu Hall, many elders, including the branch masters of the various branches, were gathered here. Qin Shujian looked at everyone's expressions and said slowly, "I don't need to say much. After the human race opened the heaven and earth restriction and fought with the 10,000 races, they could be considered to have gained a firm foothold. What happens next is not something that 1 or 2 people can control. In this battle, many humans participated in the battle, and many humans died in the battle. Our sect attacked 1,115 people, 672 people died in the battle, and 12 celestial beings were killed. Among them, 7 were above the 7th level of the celestial being realm, 7 were killed by cultivators in the god martial arts realm, 123 were killed by cultivators in the spiritual martial arts realm, and 1,576 were killed by cultivators in the true martial arts realm." In the hall, only Qin Shujian's voice sounded. Everyone was silent. Some people who did not participate in the battle also felt the tragedy of that battle after hearing Qin Shujian's words. Qin Shujian said, "These are the statistics after the battle. There may be some deviation, but it's not too far off. What I want to say is that many people died in this battle. These people are the heroes of the Yuan sect, and also the heroes of the human race. Therefore, I will imitate the human emperor and build a monument to record the people who died in this battle. At the same time, if there are parents or other relatives among the people who died in the battle, our sect will also provide subsidies and help. At the same time, all the people who participated in the battle will be rewarded with 5,000 contribution points for those in the true martial arts realm, 50,000 contribution points for those in the spiritual martial arts realm, and 200,000 contribution points for those in the god martial arts realm. For those in the same realm as you kill, you will be rewarded with 5,000 contribution points. For those in the one realm higher than you will be rewarded with 50,000 contribution points. For those in the 2 realms higher than you will be rewarded with 200,000 contribution points. In addition, the secret realm is officially open. All the people who participated in this battle will have a chance to cultivate in it. There will be 3 batches. The first batch in the true martial arts realm will last for 10 days, the second batch in the spiritual martial arts realm will last for 20 days, and the third batch in the divine martial arts realm will last for 30 days. In addition, in 3 months, the sect competition will be held in advance. The first place of each realm will have a chance to enter the secret realm. The basic realm will last for 3 days, the true martial arts realm will last for 7 days, and the spiritual martial arts realm will last for 15 days. At the same time, in the sect competition, those who challenge those in a higher realm and win will be able to enter the secret realm to cultivate for 3 days. From today onwards, the human race will set up the heaven ranking. Those in the basic realm who are under 20 years old, the true martial realm who are under 30 years old, the spiritual martial realm who are under 50 years old, and the divine martial realm who are under 200 years old can enter the heaven ranking. The heaven ranking has 4 stages, and each stage will only accept the top 100 people. Taking the basic realm as an example, the last 50 people on the heaven ranking will be rewarded with 2 contribution points for every day they stay on the heaven ranking. The first 50 to 30 people will be rewarded with 5 contribution points per day, and the first 20 to 10 people will be rewarded with 10 contribution points per day. As for the top 10 people, starting from the 10th place, they will be rewarded with 15 contribution points per day. The higher the ranking, the more contribution points they will get. In addition, the top 10 people will be rewarded with a chance to enter the secret realm for 3 days if they stay on the secret realm for 3 months. As for the true martial arts realm, their contribution points will be 3 times that of the basic realm, and they will be able to enter the secret realm for 7 days. The spiritual martial arts realm will be 3 times that of the true martial arts realm, and they will be able to enter the secret realm for 15 days. The divine martial arts realm will be 3 times that of the spiritual martial arts realm, and they will be able to enter the secret realm for 30 days. Qin Shujian said in a deep voice. This battle proved the weakness of the human race. If not for the fact that the human emperor was strong enough, even he himself would not have had the chance to turn the tide. Of course, Qin Shujian did not deny his contribution. But no matter what, the Origin sect had suffered a great loss in this battle. The greater the loss, the more it proved that the disciples of the sect were not strong enough. Therefore, Qin Shujian had also become ruthless. If the disciples were not strong enough, then they would improve. As for the resources, they could go to hell. Anyway, the 4 continents were completely connected. The other 3 continents must have a lot of resources that the Eastern continent did not have. If the Origin sect really did not have any resources, then they would fight for them. As for the secret realm, Qin Shujian was not worried at all. The spirit chi in the secret realm was so rich that it was enough for him to cultivate for a period of time, let alone those cultivators who were not even heavenly beings. It would not be difficult for them to provide for them in a short period of time. The reason why so many disciples had died in this battle was because most of the survivors were players. The players could be resurrected. That was why they killed more foreign race cultivators than they did. That is, if the remaining people weren't players. The 1,000 true martial artists of the Origin sect might have died directly. As for the other elders, after Qin Shujian's words, they were all stunned. The secret realm was open. The heaven list was set up. And all kinds of rewards and pensions. These things were not just for show. Each of these things represented the loss of a large amount of resources. Contribution points were now the currency of the Origin sect. As long as there were enough contribution points, they could exchange for the corresponding resources. Cheng Fang frowned deeply and said worriedly, Sect Master, the issue of pensions is reasonable, but the rewards for the disciples who participated in the battle will be too much. If this goes on, I'm afraid the sect will have to give out a lot of resources. Moreover, the rewards for the establishment of the heaven list will be too generous. He was also one of the people who participated in the battle. However, Xing Fang considered the problem from the perspective of the entire Origin sect. If they were given according to this standard, the Origin sect would have to give out a few million contribution points at once, and this was not including the rewards of the secret realm. As for the heaven list, it would also consume a lot of resources. Although the contribution points given out did not seem to be much, given the number of people on the heaven list, it would be a bottomless pit over time. There was also the secret realm. The secret realm was guarded by Mu Yang, the heavenly Eldar. However, the spirit chi absorbed by the heavenly Eldar was not endless. If this continued, the secret realm would have to consume a lot of resources to maintain the density of spirit chi. However, if they did not maintain it, the secret realm would not live up to its name. Hearing this, many elders were deep in thought. Indeed, they did not think so much at first. However, now that Xingfang pointed it out, they realized the drawbacks of Qin Shijian's words. Hearing this, Qin Shijian said in a deep voice, "If there are no resources, then fight for them. If there are no resources in the East Continent, then go to the West Continent, the South Continent, and the North Continent to fight for them. Our sect has suffered so many casualties in this battle because we are not strong enough. If we were strong enough, how could so many people have died? Although the human clan has gained a foothold in the other 3 continents, those top clans are still unwilling to give up on the human clan. It's just that the clans are licking their wounds now, so they don't do anything to the human clan. If these clans recover, they will definitely start another war. At that time, if we are not strong enough, there will be more casualties. No matter where you are, if you don't make progress, you will always be eliminated. As long as there are enough experts in the origin sect, there will be a steady supply of resources. As for whether there will be casualties in fighting for resources, I think you should have been prepared for it since the day you set foot on the path of cultivation. It's impossible for cultivators to fight against the heavens and people. Peaceful coexistence is impossible." Speaking of this, Qin Shijian thought of Si Hanhai for no reason. Then, he shook his head and banished this thought from his mind. Now was not the time to think so much. Zhengfang sighed, cupped his hands, and said, "I'm confused." His philosophy was a little different from Qi Shijian's. Zhengfang was more inclined to the stable development of the origin sect, but Qin Shijian's current approach was obviously pulling up seedlings to help them grow. It was not so easy to judge which of the two was good and which was bad. But Qin Shijian had already made a decision, so Zhengfang could only nod in agreement. In his heart, he was also worried about the 10,000 clans. In this battle, Zhengfang realized how weak the spirit martial realm was in a top battle. That kind of battle, even the celestial beings died easily. The number of celestial beings that his sect master said was killed, but in fact, more than half of them were killed by the other party. Those who were not celestial beings were simply cannon fodder in the battle. This was also the main reason why Zhengfang did not firmly oppose Qin Shijian. The other elders also cupped their hands and said, "Sect Master is wise." The elders who participated in the battle were overjoyed. The Spirit Martial Realm received 50,000 contribution points, and the God Martial Realm received 200,000 contribution points. This was a generous reward. Some elders took the opportunity to kill a few cultivators of the same realm, and received more contribution points. As for those elders who did not participate in the battle, they were not jealous. These contribution points were obtained by those who participated in the battle with their lives on the line. Didn't you see that the Qingwu Hall looked much emptier now? Many seats were empty. In the end, those who were lucky could still sit here. If they were unlucky, they would not be able to come back. Then, Qin Shijian said, "In addition, pass down my order. Think of a way to establish the Yuan Pavilion system in the other 3 major continents. Then, the mission hall will issue the corresponding missions and let the dissimulated humans investigate the actual situation of the 3 major continents." "Yes, Sect Master." "Dismissed." After saying this, Qin Shijian was also a little tired, so he waved his hand and said. Hearing this, the elders stood up and said, "We will take our leave." Soon, the Chenwu Hall was empty for a moment. Sitting on the main seat, Qin Shijian rubbed the space between his eyebrows and sighed. This time, he really felt tired. Although the battle only lasted for a day, Qin Shijian felt as if he had not slept for 10 years. Although it was as easy as eating and drinking for him to kill mighty figures. In fact, every time he killed an opponent, he used up a lot of energy. Just the spirit severing alone was used no less than several times. His divine will turned into a blade. he slashed the spiritual divinity of others and collided with his own spiritual divinity. It was just that Qin Shujian endured the discomfort of his spiritual divinity and took advantage of the fact that others were in a daze to kill his opponent, especially against the high priest of the God clan. It also made Qin Shujian seriously exhausted. It could be said that, after the battle, even if Qin Shujian's injuries were not serious, he was still very tired. Ever since he broke through to the divinity realm, it seemed that he had never felt tired before. But now, Qin Shujian, on the other hand, had the urge to sleep. If there are a few more battles of this difficulty, I'm afraid I won't be able to hold on. My true essence is still okay, but the main thing is that my divine will is too seriously exhausted. Qin Shujian rubbed the space between his eyebrows. He did not really go to sleep. This kind of tiring feeling, sleeping, was useless. He could only wait for time to pass and then recover on his own. After a while, Qin Shujian said, "Senior, do you know what's going on with Si Hanhai?" "I do." Godslayer's voice came out. Qin Shujian was slightly stunned. He really did know. As for Si Hanhai, he was just asking casually. He did not expect the god-slaying saber to give him an answer. After all, although Zhu Bing was experienced and knowledgeable, he did not know everything. After being stunned, Qin Shujian came back to his senses and asked, "Senior, please tell me. If I'm not wrong, he should have been bedeviled." "Bedeviled?" Qin Shujian was stunned when he heard this familiar word. How did he suddenly become bedeviled? Godslayer said, "In fact, bedeviled is just a name. To put it simply, it means that a cultivator's mind has deviated and he has become a cruel and bloodthirsty devil. A person who has become bedeviled does everything for the sake of killing. There are no rules to speak of. Such a cultivator was also extremely difficult to deal with in ancient times. There was once a strong cultivator who became bedeviled and slaughtered several races. Hundreds of millions of creatures were destroyed. In the end, the immortals of the heavenly court took action and suppressed and eliminated the devil. Qin Shujian asked with a serious face, "How can one become bedeviled?" "It's hard to say, but Si Hanhai's situation should be a problem with his cultivation method." Godslayer said faintly, "I didn't know his situation at first, but after seeing the scene on the battlefield, I finally understood. Didn't you say that the East Pattern Mansion was quiet and peaceful and there was rarely any killing? You should know that killing is pervasive between heaven and earth. This is the killing tribulation that naturally overflows from heaven and earth. All those who are contaminated by this killing will have a faint impulse to kill in their hearts. It just depends on each person's character, which determines whether a person will really kill and how much he will kill. There is no killing aura in the East Pattern Mansion. The reason is that all the killing aura in the entire East Pattern Mansion was absorbed and suppressed by Si Hanhai alone. That is to say, he is actually suppressing the killing aura of heaven and earth in his body. This is an extremely terrifying killing aura. It would be fine if it was during normal times, but the killing aura in the battle was too strong, which caused some deviation. In the end, he was suppressed by the killing aura of heaven and earth in his body, so he became like that. Qin Shujian was shocked. He didn't expect Si Hanhai to be like this. Godslayer said, "Speaking of which, to be able to suppress the killing aura of heaven and earth in an entire mansion with the strength of one person, he is also an amazing person. What a pity!" His words were full of regret. P.S. Let's talk about the rest of the day. I used to stay up until 3 o'clock in the morning to write, but now I don't dare to because I am afraid that I may suddenly die one day. Support the original version. Chidian Chinese Networks. I am decent. Chapter 577. No wonder! No wonder when I went to the East Pattern Mansion last time, this ancient mansion was so strange. Qin Shujian instantly thought of many things, including some things that Si Hanhai showed when he fought with him for the first time. He suppressed the killing of heaven and earth in a mansion by himself. What kind of cultivation method did Si Hanhai practice, or did he really want to create a pure land? Qin Shujian was not sure. If it was the former, it would be fine. But if it was the latter, it would be a bit abnormal. Yes. Abnormal. If he didn't go crazy, he wouldn't survive. If Sihahai could suppress it all the time, it would be fine. But now he was devoured by the killing of heaven and earth, and he went crazy in an instant. The god-slaying saber said, "If you meet him again, kill him if possible. Can't a person who has gone crazy turn back?" "It's difficult," Godslayer said lightly, and then said, "In ancient times there were very few cultivators who went crazy. But every cultivator who went crazy would eventually cause a shocking massacre. Such a cultivator could use the killing of heaven and earth to improve his strength. It's not an exaggeration to say that he was the incarnation of the killing of heaven and earth. Demons exist for killing. From the moment he went crazy, he was no longer a human, nor was he any other race. He could still remember his human nature during the war. But now, I'm afraid he has completely lost himself. Such a cultivator, it's fine if he doesn't grow up. But once he grows up, he will definitely be beyond your imagination." Qin Shujian was slightly silent. After a while, he said, "That is to say, Sihahai is no longer a human. Then, who went crazy in ancient times could finally walk out?" To be honest, Qin Shujian had no intention of killing Sihahai for the time being. After all, it was just a guess. It was not appropriate to kill him. The main reason was that they were still allies, and Sihahai had killed many powerful enemies of various races this time. "There are but very few," Godslayer said. "There was once an expert in the ancient Buddha clan who went crazy and finally broke out of the devil and reached the level of divine transcendence." The divine transcendence he mentioned was not the divine transcendence of the celestial being realm. For this, Qin Shujian also understood. Godslayer said, "That person has been infected by the killing power of heaven and earth. It is very difficult for him to turn back. However, if he can really suppress the killing power of heaven and earth, the human race will definitely have one more ancient true immortal." "Ancient true immortals?" Qin Shujian looked puzzled and asked. "What's the difference between them and immortals?" "There's no difference. It's just that those who have reached that level of cultivation have already understood themselves. They've gotten rid of the false and retained the true. That's why they're also known as true immortals," Godslayer said calmly. Qin Shujian fell into deep thought. Ancient true immortals? Demonic or not? None of that had much to do with him. He was really tired now. Subsequently, Qin Shujian walked out of the inherited martial hall and arrived at the forbidden area. Compared to the overall spiritual energy of the main sect, the spirit chi in the forbidden area was actually about the same. However, there were only two reasons why Qin Shujian liked to cultivate in forbidden areas. The first reason was that the forbidden grounds were safe and comfortable. Moreover, no matter what kind of commotion one caused while cultivating, one would not have to worry about any negative consequences. The second reason. It was that the forbidden area was very high, and he could see the clouds when he looked up. It gave him the illusion that he was as high as heaven and earth. As for this feeling, Qin Shujian liked it very much. Walking into the forbidden area, Qin Shujian threw out the Qianquan bow and the cloud-piercing arrow from another storage ring. Then, he was too lazy to care about them. In that battle, the effect of these two Dao artifacts was 0. There was nothing he could do about it. Because Qin Shujian found that his strength had increased too quickly. It was so fast that many things around him could not keep up with his pace. It was the same for the Dao artifacts. It was the same for the other people in Yuan sect. Even the Dao artifact, Mountain Blood, which had been with him for a long time, was actually not very useful. It was just that it was convenient to use. That was why he had been carrying it. The Four-Sealed Dao artifact. In a battle between mighty figures and above, unless self-destruction could have some effect, it was not much different from fighting with bare hands. The only thing that Qin Shujian regretted was that he had blown up the 13-grade Golden Lotus. But if it was not for the self-destruction of the seven-sealed Tao artifact, it would not have affected the high priest of the God clan at all. An expert of that level, only a seven-sealed Tao artifact could play a sufficient role. Fortunately, Yuan Sek's luck had long reached an extremely prosperous level. So even if they lost a seven-sealed Tao artifact, their level did not drop. At this moment, when he activated his Dharma eye to look, he saw the luck of the yellow clouds rise and turn into a city, suppressing the world in all directions. It was just that compared to the past, the luck of the yellow clouds now was much thinner. After all, they had lost a seven-sealed Tao artifact. It was already a good thing that they did not drop in level. Qin Shujian did not care too much about the rest. Seeing this, Qin Shujian said, "In ancient times, was there a way to use luck to fight against the enemy?" Many. Luck is the deepest foundation of a clan. In ancient times, many clans had the means to use luck. Once luck is added to the body, the strength that can be exerted is extremely terrifying. God Slayer thought for a moment and said, "Actually, it is not difficult to use luck to fight against the enemy. Take Yuan Sek's luck for example. You are the master of Yuan Sect and Yuan Sect was founded by yourself, so you are connected to Yuan Sek's luck. You can infuse your divine sense into your destiny, and you'll naturally become one with it. In ancient times, it was very common to use luck to fight against the enemy. For many clans, luck was their biggest trump card. Even if they were facing an expert who was much stronger than them, as long as they were fighting on their own territory, they would not be afraid at all." Then, Godslayer said again, "However, if you want to use luck to fight, you need to do one thing, and that is to sense the existence of luck. Only by doing this can you have the opportunity to use luck. But to be honest, there is no specific way to sense the existence of luck. Some people can sense the luck attached to certain important things and then use it as a medium to directly communicate with the main body of luck. In my opinion, the statue in your sect is very good. It has the sect's faith and also the sect's luck attached to it. You must know that the power of faith is the most convenient way to communicate with luck." Sensing luck! Communicating with luck! Qin Shujian was deep in thought. Then, his eyes turned into stars and looked at Yuan Sek's luck in the sky. He then spread out his divine consciousness according to the method that God Slayer had mentioned. Then, Qin Shujian felt his mind tremble. Then, a warm feeling instantly gushed into his heart. Furthermore, he also realized that his vision had changed abruptly. It was as though he could see through Yuan Zong's location. Heaven and earth buzzed. The luck in the yellow clouds vibrated and turned from illusion to reality. They could only see a city that covered thousands of miles, like a magnified version of Cold Mountain City. At this moment, everyone in Yuan Sect seemed to have sensed something. When they looked up at the sky, they happened to see the city formed by the yellow clouds. "What is that?" "I don't know, but that city looks a little familiar." "Familiar?" "That is clearly a magnified version of Cold Mountain City." Many Yuan Sect disciples were shocked. When the luck appeared, they realized that there was a faint connection between them and the City of Luck. In their consciousness, God Slayer fell silent. He originally wanted to tell Qin Shujian that it was very difficult to borrow luck. Until now, God Slayer was glad that he didn't say it out loud so quickly. At the same time, he couldn't help but suspect that Qin Shujian had already known the way to communicate with luck and deliberately came to make fun of him. If that wasn't the case, then it would be a little scary. Innately connecting with luck, this doesn't seem right. God Slayer muttered to himself. He had never seen anyone who could naturally connect with luck. There were many experts in the ancient times. However, there was almost no one who could do that. Just as God Slayer was doubting himself, Qin Shujian had already completely connected with the luck. The person standing in the City of Luck also opened his eyes at this moment. Then, Qin Shujian took a step into the air and seemed to have merged with the person of luck. Boom! The luck was vast and mighty, sweeping across the sky. Qin Shujian stood at the top of the Liang Mountain City. A feeling that the world was in his control surged in his heart. At that moment, the Guyuan ancestral cannon in his body circulated uncontrollably. Then, one star acupoint after another opened up. It was almost a breath's time. The number of star acupoints reached 36,500, which was also the level of perfection of the 6th level of the celestial being realm. That feeling, it made Qin Shujian feel that if he were to face the high priest of the God clan, he wouldn't need to detonate his 13th grade golden lotus. He would be able to fight the other party head-on. Such a huge commotion, it directly caused the Liang Mountain spirit domain to shake. When everyone saw the enlarged version of Cold Mountain City, as well as Qin Shujian standing on top of the city walls, they immediately understood what was going on. Obviously, the only person who could cause such a huge commotion was the one in the Origin sect. The #1 expert in the cultivation world lives up to his name. Blue Cloud sect. Qing Su's current state wasn't very good. Feeling the power that made people want to submit, he also felt a lot of emotions. The battle to open the restriction of heaven and earth, the Blue Cloud sect also participated. It was during that battle that Qing Su truly felt how small he was. He also understood how terrifying a true top expert was. All along, Qing Su knew that Qin Shujian was very strong. But only in that battle did he understand that the other party's strength was more than just strong. It was already so strong that it made people despair. Countless celestial being experts from various clans died in the hands of Qin Shujian. Those experts who died in the hands of the other party, even the weakest of them could easily crush him to death with a single finger. In this battle, the Blue Cloud sect also suffered a lot of losses. However, Qing Su was relieved in his heart. Although the Blue Cloud sect had suffered a lot of losses, but at least they had killed many cultivators from various clans. Qing Su estimated for a moment and said to himself, I took advantage of the chaos to kill 2 foreign clans in the spirit martial realm. Then, I also killed many disciples of the sect. At the very most, I have killed at least 20 true martial realm experts. 1 true martial realm expert guaranteed 10 years of peace. More than 20 true martial realm experts meant more than 200 years. In addition, 1 spiritual martial realm expert guaranteed 100 years of inheritance. In this battle, the Blue Cloud sect could directly exchange for more than 400 years, nearly 500 years of recuperation. Although the Blue Cloud sect paid a heavy price for this. But in Qing Su's opinion, it was all worth it. Because this battle was not only for the imperial court, but also for himself as a human. It was already good enough to be protected after the battle. As long as the imperial court was not destroyed, the human emperor would not die. Then, the other party's words would always be effective. 500 years of time, Qing Su estimated that the Blue Cloud sect should be able to cultivate many experts. At least, they would be more powerful than now. By the way, I remember the human emperor said that there would be a reward. It's been so many days, why haven't I seen it yet? Did he forget about the Blue Cloud sect? Qing Su thought for a moment, wondering if he should ask the imperial court. But after some hesitation, he decided to wait. After all, there were too many sects participating in this battle. It would take a lot of time for the imperial court to distribute the resources. On the other side, Qin Shujian also broke away from the luck. When the luck left his body, the originally opened acupoints collapsed and closed, and he was quickly beaten back to his original state. After falling back to the forbidden grounds, Qin Shujian muttered to himself, to be able to raise one's cultivation by 1 small level by borrowing luck once, this assistance is pretty good. If I were in the Mount Liang spirit domain and had an ancestral armament, I would be able to raise my cultivation by 1 small level. Then my strength should be almost equivalent to the Divine Emperor's. Hearing this, the God Slayer said faintly, That's right, with the current weakness of the myriad clans, if you borrow the sect's luck, your strength will already be comparable to the Nirvana stage. With the current situation of the laws of heaven and earth, although it has been perfected, it is still not that easy to give birth to an immortal. He could really control luck. When he saw Qin Shujian fuse with his luck, the God Slayer was truly stunned. Controlling luck was not something to be surprised about. But the speed at which the other party controlled it was truly shocking. Moreover, when Qin Shujian was at the 5th level of the Heaven Realm, he could already match the 10th level of the Heaven Realm. Then, with the support of luck, reaching the 6th level of the Heaven Realm and matching the Nirvana stage didn't seem to be a big problem. The 6th level of the Heaven Realm against the Nirvana stage. The Godslayer recalled that when the human race was at its peak, there seemed to be such a person. Although there weren't many. But there were. Moreover, after knowing Qin Shujian's potential, the Godslayer wasn't surprised at all. After he finished speaking, the Godslayer continued, "That is to say, your sect's luck isn't strong enough. If your luck is strong enough, the increase would definitely be more than this. If my sect level is raised to the 7th level, can I reach the 7th level of the Heaven Realm? Heh, if Yuan Zong can reach the 7th level, even if you have just entered the 7th level, with the support of luck, you can reach the 8th or 9th level of the Heaven Realm. Every step forward after the 5th level force is a huge breakthrough. The further you go, the greater the gap between each level. A 7-seal Dao artifact may be able to directly promote a force from the 1st level to the 6th level, but if you want to promote from the 6th level to the 7th level, 3 to 5 7-seal Dao artifacts may not be able to do it. As for the 7th level and above, the promotion requirements are even higher." The Godslayer regained his feeling of being Zhu Bing and taught. Whether it was in the past or now, Yuan Zong is actually only at the beginning of the 6th level. However, after detonating the 13th level Golden Lotus, your luck has dropped a lot. Otherwise, on your current foundation, with the support of luck, you can directly reach the 7th level of the Heaven Realm. Thank you for your guidance, Senior. After learning some things from the Godslayer, Qin Shujian was not stingy with saying a few good words. In his eyes, this saber was a veritable big shot. With the Godslayer in hand, he had the capital to rival the emperor of a clan. Or else, Qin Shujian felt that at most, he could fight against a 9th level Heaven Realm expert, and he had to rely on the power of rules. If the rules were weakened, it would be a problem whether he could fight against a 9th level Heaven Realm expert. However, there was nothing unexpected about fighting against an 8th level Heaven Realm expert. Ordinary 8th level Heaven Realm experts, like the God Clan's Guyu ancient cultivators, could basically hang them up and beat them up. Qin Shujian thought of something else and asked, "Senior, is there really 10,000 races in the so-called 10,000 races?" He had doubts about this when he had connected the 3 continents. Although there were many races participating in the war. However, in Qin Shujian's opinion, there seemed to be only 20 or 30 races at most. In addition, there were those who watched the battle in the dark. Qin Shujian estimated that there were at most 100 races. It was called the 10,000 races, but in the end, there were only about 100 races. It couldn't be that the Emperor of Heaven destroyed 9,900 races with a single slash, right? If that was the case, it wasn't without reason that the Emperor of Heaven was notorious for 10,000 years in the hearts of the 10,000 races. Not to mention anything else. If he was a member of the 10,000 races, he would also destroy a race like the human race. If another Emperor of Heaven was born, what would the remaining races do? The Godslayer said. The 10,000 races is just a general term, but in fact, the 10,000 races far exceed this number. In fact, before the human race, there was once a race that wanted to rule the 10,000 races, and that was the demon race. Compared to the Emperor of Heaven who established the heavenly court and suppressed the 10,000 races, the demon race was even more ambitious. In ancient times, the demon race had a shockingly talented emperor who wanted to gather all the 10,000 races in the world and classify them as the demon race. In other words, that demon emperor wanted to use the demon race to suppress all the 10,000 races, so that only the demon race existed in the world. So arrogant. Aren't you afraid of being beaten up? Qin Shujian couldn't help but blurt out. When the Emperor of Heaven established the heavenly court, it could be considered that the 10,000 races ruled the world together. It was just that the Emperor of Heaven's position was higher, and no one dared to disobey him. However, This demon emperor's approach was to truly accept the 10,000 races and make the demon race the only existence in the world. Fight, why not? The God Slayer said indifferently. The race that every living being belongs to is their root. Now that they are all under the control of the demon race, they are digging up their roots. Therefore, the 10,000 races in the world rebelled against the demon race. That demon emperor led the demon race that submitted to him to fight against the experts of the 10,000 races. In that battle, countless experts died. It was also that battle that buried the glory of the ancient demon race. Similarly, the 10,000 races were also heavily injured. After countless years, it was the turn of the human race to give birth to the Emperor of Heaven. Considering the lesson of the demon race, the Emperor of Heaven didn't let the 10,000 races belong to the human race. Instead, he used another method to establish the heavenly court and rule the world together with the immortals of the 10,000 races. It was as if he had said too much at once. The God Slayer paused for a moment and said, "However, although that demon emperor has fallen, the demon race still exists. All the scaled beasts and birds in the world who submitted to the demon emperor were collectively called the demon race. Those who were unwilling to submit were independent races. Therefore, there was not much difference between the demon race and the non-demon race. Before the demon race was established, there were many more races than now. It was only after the demon race was established that many races abandoned the past and called themselves the demon race." Hearing this, Qin Shujian finally understood what the so-called 10,000 races were. If the other races that were unwilling to submit to the demon race were counted, then there were indeed a lot of 10,000 races. Let's not talk about anything else. Just the birds alone were divided into hundreds and thousands. If these races were included in the demon race, they would be collectively called the demon race. They could only be considered a race if they were unwilling to submit to the demon race and chose to be independent. Then these birds could be divided into hundreds and thousands of races. After understanding these things, Qin Shujian was extremely shocked by the courage of the demon emperor in the ancient times. He destroyed all races and only left the demon race. What kind of person would be able to have such an idea? It was only because that demon emperor was not strong enough that he was killed by the 10,000 races. Otherwise, he would probably call himself a demon now. Thinking of this, Qin Shujian said, "What realm was that demon emperor in? I'm not sure. There are rumors that the demon emperor had already surpassed the realm of the ninth heaven immortal. There are also rumors that the demon emperor was as powerful as the emperor of heaven. In fact, after so many years, there's no point in searching. Can't we even trace the river of time?" Qin Shujian thought of the scene of the human emperor pulling the river of time. He was really itching for such a method. Godslayer said, "No, the battle between experts of that level, even if it is engraved in the river of time, is an extremely dangerous area. However, in fact, that battle has already broken the river of time. Just like the battle between the heavenly court and the demon abyss at the end of the ancient times, that battle will definitely affect the river of time. The so-called break is that even if you walk back from the river of time, you won't be able to see what you want to see. Moreover, it's not so easy to walk the river of time. The longer the time, the more difficult it is. When you have the chance to set foot in the future, you will understand. The ancient fault. The ancient fault. How could it be so simple to say that it was a fault? There would always be earth-shattering battles in history, but not every battle could cause a fault." Godslayer's words also made Qin Shujian think deeply. He also understood Zhu Bing's words. Just like the battle 200,000 years ago, that battle was also quite vast. It was the most tragic battle between the human race and the 10,000 races after the Antiquity Age. However, that battle did not cause a gap, nor did it classify the battle 200,000 years ago as the Antiquity Age. To put it bluntly, that battle was not enough to interrupt the river of time. This could be seen from the fact that the human emperor could replay the scene of that battle, according to Qin Shujian's guess. To do that, perhaps it would require an expert at the level of the Emperor of Heaven to fight to the death in order to truly create an era, cut off the river of time, and bury a period of time. P.S. Third update. Please subscribe, monthly votes, support the original version, Chidian Chinese networks. I'm really decent. Chapter 578. After understanding the situation of the myriad races, Qin Shujian also understood a lot. Moreover, he also learned more about the glorious history of the demon race. In his opinion, if it wasn't for that demon emperor's ambition, there might not be anything about the Emperor of Heaven. However, that demon emperor was very strong, but his brain didn't seem to be working. He didn't have the strength to destroy the myriad races, but he had the heart to do so. The consequences of attacking together could be imagined. Therefore, that demon emperor's death was not unjust. Later on, the Emperor of Heaven was much smarter. He didn't let the myriad races of the world belong to the human race. Instead, he used a gentle method and established the heavenly court to rule the myriad races. Unfortunately, later on, the demon abyss came and completely ruined the glory of the heavenly court. Qin Shujian said, "How many years has the Emperor of Heaven ruled the myriad races since he established the heavenly court?" "It has been exactly 90,000 years since the demon abyss arrived," Godslayer said without hesitation. As the Zhu Bing of the human race, the Emperor of Heaven was also an expert of the human race. He firmly remembered the glorious history of the heavenly court. Strictly speaking, in fact, the heavenly court was also a part of the human race. The reason why he didn't use the name of the human race and instead used the name of the heavenly court was to avoid following in the footsteps of that demon emperor. In Godslayer's opinion, if it had been a few hundred years or even a few million years, perhaps the myriad races would gradually disappear, leaving only the heavenly court and the human race. At that time, the myriad races of the world would belong to the human race. Although the two had similar goals, one method was too forceful and reckless, while the other method was much gentler and didn't cause too much backlash. Godslayer sighed and said, "It's a pity that the demon abyss destroyed the heavenly court. Otherwise, even if the myriad races didn't belong to the human race wouldn't be persecuted by the myriad races. The human race has been declining for too long. Now, it's time for an ancient human emperor or even an expert at the level of the Emperor of Heaven to walk out. You and the current human emperor are the most promising people to reach that step," Godslayer said. Hearing this, Qin Shujian's expression didn't change. He chuckled and said, "Senior, do you think I should be the human sovereign or the Emperor of Heaven? Do you want to be the human emperor or the Emperor of Heaven?" The Godslayer threw the question back. Qin Shujian's smile faded a little. He shook his head and said, "It's too early to talk about anything. No one can say for sure what will happen in the future. Speaking of which, I also have something I want to ask. Do you recognize the stone spear in Marquis Bayan's hand?" "I have some impression of it. It seems to be the weapon of an emperor or an immortal." Godslayer tried to recall and said, "It's been too long. I can't remember it clearly, but the aura that stone's spear emitted gave me some impression. I've dealt with him before. Although there were not many ancestral armaments in the ancient era, there were more than 2 or 3 ancestral armaments. Ever since the birth of the world, countless races had been born. Perhaps some of them had given birth to ancestral armaments. But later, when the races were destroyed, the Zhu Bing moved around and finally fell into the hands of an expert. But what I can be sure of is that the Zhu Bing didn't belong to any of the races that survived today. Because if there was a race that survived, the Zhu Bing of that race would never fall into the hands of an outsider, because there's no possibility of the Zhu Bing betraying them. Once they betray their race, it's the same as betraying their beliefs. They will directly fall from the level of the Zhu Bing. Only when the race they belong to is destroyed will the Zhu Bing choose another race to be its user. Godslayer had some impression of the stone spear. At the very least, he was sure that he had met the Zhu Bing before. However, there was one thing that the god-slaying blade was certain of. That ancestral armament was not a human's ancestral armament. The reason for that was because the human race only possessed a total of 3 ancestral armaments. Thus, how could he not recognize them? Therefore, Marquis Bayun Zhu Bing must be from an alien race. But the same logic applied. The Zhu Bing of an alien race would not fall into the hands of an alien race. Only when the race was destroyed could it choose a master from another race. Godslayer said, I almost forgot about it before you mentioned it. Now that you mention it, I remember something. The Marquis Bayun you mentioned seems to be a person favored by fate. To be able to get the help of the Zhu Bing, he himself is a person with great fate. There seems to be something wrong with this era. A race can't give birth to so many sons of fate in the same era. After all, the fate of heaven and earth is limited, and the share of fate that a race can occupy is also limited. Judging from the current situation of the human race, it's already the limit for 1 son of fate to appear in each era. 2 sons of fate would be a little unusual, but now there are 3. Boy, I can tell you clearly that there is definitely something wrong with this era. It's either a great prosperity or a terrible calamity is coming. But no matter which one it is, it will inevitably be accompanied by war and killing. If you are not careful, you may end up with the extinction of your race. At the mention of the Marquis Bayun, Godslayer was also very surprised. During the war, he didn't have time to care so much. After the war, Qin Shujian asked a series of questions, which also stunned Godslayer. Until he mentioned the Marquis Bayun. Only then did Godslayer think of this matter again. It was very unusual for 3 sons of fate to appear in one era. Qin Shujian also felt the seriousness of the other party's words. He couldn't help but frown and ask, Senior, what do you mean? Do you know how to give birth to a son of fate? Senior, please enlighten me. Godslayer said. Every once in a while, a son of fate will be born in a race. That person is favored by the fate of heaven and earth, and is also favored by the fate of the race. Whenever a son of fate appears, at least more than half of the fate of the race will gather on that person. It is precisely because of this that a second son of fate is rarely born. Every time a son of fate dies, a new son of fate will be born after 10,000 years. But the current situation is definitely not that simple. Godslayer's tone was very grave. The son of fate was not as simple as a few words. The child of destiny of any race was destined to maintain the glory of that race, or to lead a declining race out of its doldrums. Such a person. It was absolutely impossible to ignore. But now that Godslayer had discovered 3 sons of fate, it was equivalent to saying that the human race might be overloading its foundation. Therefore, when he discovered this problem, Godslayer's first reaction was to wonder if the human race had reached the point of extinction. That was why 3 sons of fate were born in one breath, in a final desperate struggle. Originally, Godslayer had 2 guesses, but after opening up the 3 major continents, the strength of the other races was not enough to destroy the human race. Therefore, he only had 1 guess. The Demon Abyss. Boy, the future great tribulation of the Demon Abyss may be the time when the human race is destroyed. Otherwise, it would not have given birth to so many sons of fate. This is definitely because the fate of the human race itself has felt the threat of extinction. At the end of ancient times, the human race gave birth to 2 sons of fate. One was the Emperor of Heaven, and the other was the human Emperor. This time, it is even more exaggerated. 3 were born at once, and it is unknown whether there will be more. The future great tribulation of the Demon Abyss may completely overturn the human race. The fate of the human race has sensed the danger, so it has done this. Regarding Godslayer's words, Qin Shujian's expression also eased a little. The great tribulation of the Demon Abyss. During that long period of time, he didn't feel any urgency. Who cares about the great tribulation? As long as I am strong enough, there will be no problem. If I am not strong enough, it will be a waste of time to think about it. Senior, am I right? If you put it that way, there is no problem. Godslayer's tone was much calmer. Indeed. What was the use of thinking so much? Whether it was 1 son of fate or 10 sons of fate, when the time comes, all he had to do was to fight. In short, he just had to do his best. Subsequently, Qin Shujian did not pay attention to God's Slayer. He opened the seal of the storage ring and took out the arm of the ancient Buddha. It was obviously a stone arm, but there was pale golden blood gushing out of the broken part. When the arm left the storage ring, it suddenly erupted with a vast power, as if to suppress Qin Shujian. Even if it was a broken arm, the power it exerted could easily suppress a mighty figure. In the face of such power, Qin Shujian did not intend to fight. He directly took out God's Slayer, and then suppressed the broken arm. God's Slayer stood in the air, and the saber energy turned into a cage, imprisoning the broken arm inside. As for Zhu Bing, there was nothing he could do about the broken arm of the ancient Buddha. After all, his arm was cut off by God's Slayer himself. Looking at the arm that was still alive, Qin Shujian clicked his tongue in wonder. Senior, do you know the origin of the ancient Buddha clan? Haven't you already seen that the ancient Buddha clan was actually cultivated from stone statues? Oh, stone people. Qin Shujian nodded as if he understood something. He really did not expect that stone could become a clan. If that was the case, there would be too many clans. Godslayer said, Don't underestimate the ancient Buddha clan. The ancient Buddha clan was also a big clan in ancient times because there were also emperors in the ancient Buddha clan. When they were in the heavenly court, although their strength was not as strong as the human emperor, they were definitely not ordinary. The ancient Buddha emperor of this generation is actually not weak, but the human emperor of the human clan is too strong. If you want to refine the blood essence of the ancient Buddha, you have to be careful because it will be harder to refine than Star Sage's blood essence. There was a hidden meaning. The ancient Buddha emperor was stronger than Star Sage. Hearing that, Qin Shujian nodded slightly. Star Sage was also in the Nirvana realm, but he actually did not know how strong Star Sage was. However, seeing that the ancient Buddha emperor was hung up and beaten by the human emperor, it seemed that the ancient Buddha emperor's strength was just average. With such a deduction, Star Sage's strength seemed to be just that. As if seeing through Qin Shujian's inner thoughts, God Slayer said in a deep voice, Don't underestimate the ancient Buddha emperor. It's just that the human emperor of the human clan is too strong. I even suspect that at his peak strength, he can already kill immortals. With your current strength, even if you add Zhu Bing, it's impossible to contend against the ancient Buddha emperor. Senior, you're right. Qin Shujian did not argue with him. Then, he looked at the ancient Buddha's arm in front of him and directly swallowed it with the red lotus of purgation. When the flame spoke, Yizichen was stunned. The stone saber seemed to tremble slightly. God Slayer said involuntarily, Boy, what kind of fire is this? During the battle, the god-slaying saber did not have much of a reaction when Qin Shujian used the red lotus of delusion. This was because he was hiding in the other party's sea of consciousness and did not feel the power of the flames. But now it was different. As soon as the red lotus of purgation appeared, God Slayer felt his divine thoughts tremble. Even Zhu Bing's body felt a great threat. Such a flame. Even with his knowledge and experience, he had never seen or heard of such a thing. Qin Shujian said with a faint smile, It's just a little trick. Senior, you don't have to worry about it. He did not tell Godslayer too much. Although the red lotus of purgation had been used now, Qin Shujian still did not want too many people to know too much about the red lotus of purgation. There were some things. It was fine to see it, but it was not necessary to say it out loud. For this, Godslayer did not ask any more questions. He could see that Qin Shujian did not intend to tell him about this. Looking at the flame that swallowed the ancient Buddha's arm, Godslayer's heart was filled with great fear. He was sure Qin Shujian definitely had a big secret. After only a few minutes, the ancient Buddha's arm was refined, leaving only a red lotus lying there quietly. At the same time, in the western continent, at the top of the mountains, there stood a huge palace. The ancient Buddha Emperor was sitting in the golden lotus. The broken arm in his left hand had not fully recovered. Zhu Bing's saber energy lingered around the broken arm, Just as Qin Shujian was about to refine his arm, the ancient Buddha Emperor felt something. He opened his eyes and looked in the direction of the eastern continent. The human clan! The ancient Buddha Emperor's petrified face did not show any specific changes in expression. This time, all the clans had fallen in the hands of the human clan. He was the same. The human emperor's strength was simply terrifying. If it were not for the fact that the rules of heaven and earth had just been perfected and could not give birth to an immortal, the ancient Buddha Emperor would have thought that the human emperor was not a supreme expert of the nirvana realm, but a true immortal. With his own strength, he fought against 4 emperors. The human emperor's strength was something the ancient Buddha Emperor had never seen in his life. The human clan is blessed by the heavens. After the decline of the ancient times, their luck has continued to this day. Just the eastern continent alone can give birth to such a powerhouse. It really surprised me. Thinking of the human emperor, the ancient Buddha Emperor sighed. He really did not expect the human emperor to be so strong. When he returned here, the ancient Buddha Emperor also figured out some things. At that time, the human emperor was definitely an arrow at the end of its flight. Or else, it would not be as simple as just one slash. Obviously. At that time, the human emperor was already holding on, so he did not chase after them. After just one slash, he let them escape. But even if he figured out this matter, the ancient Buddha Emperor did not plan to go back and fight the human emperor again. The human emperor was an arrow at the end of its flight. He was also seriously injured. And the ancient Buddha Emperor was not sure. Was the human emperor really at his limit, or was it a trick to deceive them? But one thing was certain. Before his injuries were healed, the ancient Buddha Emperor had no intention of fighting the human emperor head-on. As for whether the human clan would attack the ancient Buddha clan, he was not worried. In the ancient times, the ancient Buddha clan was a big clan. Now that all clans had declined, the ancient Buddha clan was still powerful. In this battle, except for him who was seriously injured, the rest of the ancient Buddha clan experts were unscathed. Moreover, this was the territory of the ancient Buddha clan. If the human emperor really attacked, the ancient Buddha Emperor was confident that he could fight the human emperor head-on with the luck of the ancient Buddha clan. Soon, the ancient Buddha Emperor thought of the God-slayer in the human emperor's hands and said to himself, "Weren't Zhu Bing destroyed in the ancient times? How could there still be Zhu Bing left? Could it be that the human clan left a backup plan in the ancient times?" He was not sure. Because of the great calamity of the ancient demon abyss, thousands of clans fought until the sky fell and the earth cracked. Even with Zhu Bing, after killing a large number of demons, they were also destroyed in the calamity. Therefore, there were almost no Zhu Bing that could really survive. If there was one, it would be the heavenly demon temple of the demon clan. Unfortunately, when the restriction of heaven and earth in the eastern continent was activated, the only heavenly demon temple was abandoned in the eastern continent, causing Zhu Bing to completely disappear in the 3 major continents. Now, the human clan had taken out 2 Zhu Bing at once. The ancient Buddha Emperor was also very afraid of this. The human emperor was strong enough. If he were to possess an ancestral armament, who would be able to contend against him? Immediately after, the ancient Buddha Emperor condensed the appearance of Qin Shujian and Marquis Baiyun, and then spread the news throughout the ancient Buddha clan. Suddenly, in the territory of the ancient Buddha clan, the sleeping stone statues woke up one after another. Pay close attention to the situation in the 3 major continents. These 2 humans have Zhu Bing in their hands. Find a way to seize it. Yes, my emperor! Many ancient Buddha clan powerhouses bowed and accepted the order. The ancient Buddha Emperor thought for a moment, and then said, "Qin Shujian of the human clan is very powerful, not much weaker than the emperors of the various clans. If it's not necessary, don't conflict with him for the time being. Pay attention to the other human clan." Yes. The ancient Buddha clan powerhouses accepted the order. After doing all this, the ancient Buddha Emperor did not say anything else. The principle of picking the soft persimmon to pinch was that there was no distinction between races. Between Qin Shujian and Marquis Beiyun, it was obvious that Marquis Beiyun was easier to bully. Even though Marquis Beiyun had fought against 5 experts at the 8th or 9th level of the Celestial Realm and remained undefeated, in terms of Qin Shujian's ability to severely injure the High Priest of the Celestial Realm, Marquis Beiyun was still far inferior. Meanwhile, the Demon Clan, the Celestial Race, the Blood Eldar, and other clans all issued the same order. The Human Clan had 2 Zubing in their hands, and even the Demon Clan felt uneasy. Because even if the Heavenly Demon Temple recovered, the Demon Clan only had 1 Zubing, and they could not compete with it at all. Moreover, it was the same order as the ancient Buddha Emperor. The target of these clans was only Marquis Beiyun. There was no other way. Qin Shujian was too powerful, and they did not want to act rashly. Not to mention how difficult it was to kill a human with the strength of a ruler, the price they would have to pay was not something that the various clans could bear at the moment. Therefore, Marquis Beiyun was the best target. After all, in terms of strength, Marquis Beiyun's battle record was obviously not as brilliant as Qin Shujian's, and he was not as intimidating. However, the orders of the various clans were only spread in the 3 continents. The humans were now in control of the passageway. The various clans could not infiltrate the eastern continent at all. If they forced their way through the passageway, it would be equivalent to starting a war with the humans again. The current situation, the various clans did not want to fight anymore. Especially the God Clan. The Divine Emperor was severely injured, and the High Priest was severely injured. Half of the celestial beings had fallen, and they almost fell from the top level. If it were not for the fact that the Divine Emperor was still alive, there would be clans attacking the God Clan now. Therefore, the God Clan did not dare to openly confront the humans anymore. If they really fought, even if the humans suffered heavy losses, the God Clan would definitely be finished. Just like that. Without knowing it, Marquis Beiyun had inexplicably become the softest persimmon in the eyes of the various clans. Eastern Continent, Mount Liang's spiritual domain. In front of Godslayer's perception, the ancient Buddha's broken arm was directly refined by the red lotus of purgation. The body of a Nirvana realm powerhouse could not hold on for long in front of flames. Such a scene also made Godslayer extremely fearful. Subsequently, in front of Godslayer, Qin Shujian directly held the red lotus of purgation and absorbed the energy contained in it. Instantly, a terrifying wave of energy crazily surged into his body. Just as Godslayer had said, the ancient Buddha Emperor's strength was even more terrifying than the Star Saint's, and a drop of the Star Saint's blood essence could open up thousands or hundreds of star acupoints in the past. Now, the ancient Buddha Emperor's arm contained at least 2 or 3 drops of blood essence. Under such circumstances, the energy contained in the red lotus exceeded Qin Shujian's imagination. When this vast amount of energy converged into his body, Qin Shujian originally wanted to open up the star acupoints directly. With the strength of this energy, he might be able to break through to the 5th level of the celestial being realm. However, thinking of his original plan, he suppressed this impulse. He stood there motionlessly, controlling the pure energy to gather in the stellar acupoint that he had already opened. Rumble! The star acupoints that had been successfully opened were now expanding little by little under the bombardment of energy. That's right. Qin Shujian was now improving his foundation. Because according to his guess, no matter how strong his foundation was, consuming the same amount of life force would definitely be able to improve his realm. Since that was the case, in that case, he might as well strengthen his foundation before accumulating enough life force to strengthen his foundation. At that time, he would use the life force to break through in one fell swoop. Qin Shujian had a hunch that his increased strength would definitely be much stronger than his current breakthrough. So, Qin Shujian was too lazy to open up new acupoints, so he might as well strengthen his foundation directly. Anyway, when his foundation became stronger, his strength would also increase accordingly. At most, the extent of the increase would not be as much as opening up the star acupoints directly. 2 hours passed. Qin Shujian had just completely digested this energy. He saw that the 13,200 star acupoints in his body had expanded by 1/5 from their original size. This expansion, it was a transformation of the whole body. With the expansion of the star acupoints, Qin Shujian felt that his strength had also improved a lot. Although he did not break through his realm and did not open up new acupoints, the expansion of the acupoints was already a disguised improvement. Qin Shujian made an estimation in his mind. Before refining the ancient Buddha Emperor's broken arm, his combat strength was 21,000. Now, his combat strength had reached 23 or 4,000. Qin Shujian was satisfied with such an increase in combat strength. Next, he turned his attention to the storage ring again. There was still the monster emperor's broken body and blood Ling Huang's flesh. Chapter 579. In terms of strength. The demon emperor and blood Ling Huang were not much worse than the ancient Buddha emperor. Soon, Qin Shujian refined both of them. Compared to the ancient Buddha emperor's arm, the demon emperor's body and the broken half of blood Ling Huang's body contained more essence blood. After refining both of them, although no new acupoints were opened, the original acupoints had expanded a lot. Qin Shujian's body, which had been standing still for a long time, trembled slightly. The space immediately buzzed, as if some ancient fierce beast was awakening. He raised his hand. He flicked his finger. The strong wind shattered the void, and heaven and earth exploded in an instant. Qin Shujian smiled and said, "Senior, what do you think of my current strength?" "Not bad." God Slayer was a little jealous. When he said not bad, he looked at it from the perspective of an ancient true immortal. In fact, to be able to be called not bad in the eyes of an ancient true immortal, that was really amazing. However, God Slayer also reminded, "With your current foundation, if you break through to the immortal realm, you will also have the strength of an ancient true immortal, and much stronger than an ordinary ancient true immortal. I suggest you don't accumulate to strengthen your foundation, otherwise it will be many times more difficult for you to break through in the future. Even if you have the means to extend your life, it will only be 10,000 years. Don't think that a few thousand years is a long time. In fact, for ordinary cultivators, a few thousand years is not enough for them to cultivate. When your foundation is too strong and you can't break through in 1,000 years, I'm afraid there will be problems with your state of mind." In his opinion, he really didn't recommend Qin Shujian to accumulate too strong a foundation. For cultivators, combat strength was one aspect, but the most important thing was still the realm. This was because only when one's cultivation level increased would one be able to live longer and have more opportunities. Purely indulging in the improvement of combat strength was actually going astray. So what if one's combat strength was heaven-defying? Even if a first-level celestial being could kill immortals, it was useless. Other immortals didn't even need to fight with you. When you came out of seclusion, you were almost turned to ashes. Cultivation. For the sake of longevity. From Godslayer's point of view, Qin Shujian was currently too engrossed in improving his combat prowess and had neglected his own realm. Furthermore, even if your strength increases further, it will be very difficult to cause any major changes if your realm can't keep up. Celestial beings slaying immortals refers to the possibility of celestial beings slaying immortals. The strength of an ancient true immortal who had transformed into an immortal body is not something that cultivators below the true immortal realm can compare with. The god-slaying saber advised. Qin Shujian was a good seedling. It would be too embarrassing if he died from a few thousand years of lifespan. Qin Shujian didn't care. He said, "Senior, don't worry. I have my own plans." Then he asked again, "I wonder how much lifespan a heavenly being can gain after breaking through to the nirvana stage?" "It won't increase my lifespan," Godslayer replied. "Not increasing my lifespan?" Qin Shujian was astonished and said, "Could it be that after breaking through the nirvana realm, the limit of one's lifespan is the same as that of a celestial being?" F***ck. He thought that the nirvana stage would increase one's lifespan. If that was the case, the human emperor didn't have many years left to live. The human emperor's lifespan was nearing its end. Later on, he faked his death and killed a lot of people. Then, he opened the heaven and earth restriction and let the human race step into the 3 continents. If the nirvana stage didn't increase one's lifespan, then the human emperor basically didn't have many years left to live. The other party opened the heaven and earth restriction not only for the human race, but also to perfect the heaven and earth law and take the opportunity to become an immortal. The god-slaying saber said, "Actually, many people have a misunderstanding. They think that after breaking through a realm, one's lifespan will definitely increase. This saying is actually correct, but what you have to know is that nirvana is actually not a separate realm. Cultivators in the nirvana stage are the transition from a celestial being to an immortal. Strictly speaking, they are still in the celestial being category, but they have just stepped out of the celestial being's shackles. This step can transform one's strength, but there won't be any changes to one's lifespan before they truly transform into an immortal body." Qin Shujian nodded slightly. He finally understood that the nirvana stage didn't increase one's lifespan. There was a good reason why the human emperor was in such a hurry to open the heaven and earth restriction. No wonder! Qin Shujian thought of the human emperor's absolute strength. The other party indeed had the capital to open the heaven and earth restriction. After all, he had beaten up the emperors of the 4 races alone. This kind of strength could be said to be shocking. In the end, although they used the God-Slayer to severely injure their opponents, even without the God-Slayer, the emperors didn't have an easy time. After walking out of the forbidden grounds, Qin Shujian stayed in his small courtyard. Although the spiritual flower tea produced by Mu Yang couldn't increase one's strength, it could nourish one's spirit. He was sleepy during this period of time, so he could drink tea and live a leisurely life. While Qin Shujian was resting, the Great Xiao also caused a great commotion. First of all, many powerhouses in the cultivation world had fallen, and the strength of many sects could no longer support their original status. Just like the Supreme Sect, Suzheng had fallen, and many elders in the God martial arts realm had died in battle. The Supreme Sect's strength had fallen from a top sect to a level that was even inferior to a large sect in a large region. Under such circumstances, it was inevitable that some people were ready to make a move. However, with the Imperial Court's order, no one dared to make a move on the surface. In fact, there were still undercurrents surging. At the same time, the 3 continents also aroused the curiosity of the human race. After all, the Eastern continent was only one of the 4 continents. The other 3 continents had many races, so it was inevitable that there would be many resources. Regarding this, some humans wanted to leave the Eastern continent, but they were afraid of the existence of the other races, so they didn't make a move. During this period of time, the Yuan sect was also shocked. The reason for the shock was very simple. This time, many disciples of the Yuan sect went out to fight, and half of them died. The people and things that were involved in this matter weren't small either. In addition to that, this was the latest rule of the Yuan sect. The subsidies and benefits for the participants, as well as all kinds of pensions, were actually only secondary. This was because out of more than 200,000 disciples, only a small number of them participated in the battle. What they really cared about was the establishment of the Heaven List. Moreover, the generous rewards on the Heaven List were the source of all the Yuan sect disciples' interest. To be able to enter the list, this proved that there was an endless stream of contribution points every day. Although the contribution points given every day were not many, over the years, it was extremely generous. Not to mention, the top 10 had the opportunity to enter the secret land to cultivate, which was even more tempting. The secret land. Ever since Qin Shujian opened this place, it had already attracted the curiosity of many Yuan sect disciples. Although no one had entered the secret land, everyone could guess how great the benefits of the secret land were. Therefore, after the Heaven List was established, there were already many disciples who were eager to give it a try. However, the challenge of the heaven list had not officially started, so these disciples could only watch. 7 days later, all the real martial realm disciples who participated in the battle had already arrived at the main sect. There were a total of more than 500 people. Such rich spiritual energy! Damn, when did the spiritual energy in the main sect become so rich? Stepping into the main sect, all the disciples were envious. Isn't this spiritual energy too rich? Many disciples used to stay in the main sect, so they had a certain understanding of the main sect. However, although the spiritual energy in the main sect was rich at that time, it was definitely not rich to this extent. The surging spiritual energy made people feel as if they were in a secret cultivation room. Lu Dazhong was instantly envious and said, "Damn, the spiritual energy in the main sect is so rich to this extent. Cultivating here is equivalent to soaking in a secret cultivation room every day. I hate that I went to the sky vein now. If I could still stay here, wouldn't my strength increase by leaps and bounds?" He was really jealous of her. There was no other way. The spiritual energy in the main sect was so rich that it could not be compared to the past, let alone the current branch. It was the same cultivation. It was not an exaggeration to say that. The amount of spiritual energy absorbed by the main sect in 1 day was comparable to that absorbed by the branch in 5 days. Although it was said that the amount of spiritual energy absorbed did not mean that the breakthrough would be accelerated by how many times. But at least, cultivating in a place with rich spiritual energy could indeed shorten the time needed to break through. Ahem! Xinghong, who was walking in front, had a dark face. The Sky Vein Branch Master was still here. What was the meaning of this? Xinghong felt that he had to do something. Suddenly, Lu Dazhong felt a chill in his body. When he heard Xinghong's cough, he immediately shut his mouth. He had almost forgotten. The one who led the team this time was the Sky Vein Branch Master. To put it bluntly, the Sky Vein Branch was Xinghong's territory. So, when Xinghong coughed, Lu Dazhong immediately shut up. Xinghong said lightly, "Keep quiet in the main sect. Don't talk so much." After saying that, many disciples who were still whispering also shut their mouths at this time. Not long after, the branch masters of each branch brought people to the main hall of the secret realm. Seeing this, the elders guarding the main hall also opened the door of the secret realm and let people in. This matter, Qin Shujian had already told them. So after verifying their identities, they directly let them in. It was only when they walked into the secret realm that they were truly shocked. A cool feeling hit them in the face, and their clothes became slightly moist. That was not mist. It was the spiritual energy that was so rich that it reached the shape of mist. As the spiritual energy flowed in, someone suddenly shouted, "Damn, I feel that I'm going to break through." He was originally stuck at the peak of a small realm. At this moment, stimulated by the spiritual energy, he suddenly touched the bottleneck. A few breaths passed. A slightly powerful aura came out. The disciple immediately came to his senses and said with a smile, "I finally broke through the 8th level of the martial realm." Hearing that, the others were instantly envious. The 8th level of the martial realm. He broke through from the 7th level of the martial realm to the 8th level of the martial realm. Looking at the misty spiritual energy around, the other disciples were going crazy. No one needed to say anything. All the disciples spread out like a swarm of bees, found a suitable place in the secret realm, and then immediately sat down cross-legged to cultivate. The local disciples were fine. For the players, at this moment, when they absorbed the spiritual energy, they could clearly see that the experience bar of the cultivation method was constantly jumping. Lu Dezhong sat cross-legged. When he just ran the cultivation method, he saw that the experience bar at 76% jumped to 77% in a short time. Seeing this, his excitement could be imagined. "I'm now at the 9th level of the martial realm. According to this progress, it won't be long before I can break through to the spiritual martial realm." Thinking of the spiritual martial realm, Lu Dazhong took a deep breath. Calm down, he must calm down. He was originally a cultivator of the spiritual martial realm. It was only because he died a few times that his realm dropped. Now, even if he returned to the spiritual martial realm, he would only recover his previous strength. However, Lu Dazhong forced himself to be shocked, but he couldn't be shocked at all. This was not as simple as recovering to the spiritual martial realm. If he really progressed at this speed, he would break through to the second level of the spiritual martial realm after coming out of the secret realm. Thinking of this, Lu Dazhong found that he would only be in there for a few days, and he felt a burst of anxiety. A few days was really too short. At this time, all the disciples were sitting cross-legged to cultivate. The secret realm was so big, and the spiritual energy was full here. The concentration of spiritual energy in each area was actually about the same. At most, the spiritual energy near Mu Yang would be a bit richer. But in fact, the difference in the concentration of spiritual energy was basically not too much to care about. Because even if one cultivated in the shallowest area, one's cultivation could be said to be advancing by leaps and bounds. In the middle of the secret realm, a huge osmanthus tree with branches and leaves swaying gently. When the gate of the secret realm opened, it should be said that when these disciples stepped into the main sect, Mu Yang had already noticed. Although he was rooted in the secret realm, his roots went deep into Liang Mountain. Every move of the main sect could not be hidden from Eldar's perception. To this, Mu Yang did not pay attention to it. He was only silently cultivating. As long as these people did not disturb him, there would be no problem. As an Eldar, he was the most sensitive to certain things. After breaking through to the celestial realm, Mu Yang had a faint sense of crisis in his heart. This sense of crisis even made his mind tremble. So, Mu Yang only wanted to improve his strength as much as possible. If something really happened, he would have enough strength to face it. 10 years. Refining the wood spirit heart. Normally speaking, this speed was already very fast. But in Mu Yang's view, this speed was still a lot slower. This unseen sense of crisis made him feel even more urgent. If I refine the wood spirit heart, I can at least break through to the 7th or 8th level of the celestial realm. If I refine enough, even reaching the 10th level of the celestial realm is not impossible. Mu Yang estimated the energy of the wood spirit heart, and had a rough idea in his heart. Half immortal was not a joke. Only that was an existence that was closer to immortality than Nirvana realm cultivators. If Nirvana realm was said to be taking a step forward, then half immortal was not only taking a step forward, but also raising the other foot. An expert of this level. Although he was not an ancient true immortal, the strength he possessed was extremely terrifying. The energy accumulated from the wood spirit heart that a half-immortal nurtured from his own body might not be able to directly create a new half-immortal, but it was not too far off. Mu Yang silently cultivated. With the current situation of heaven and earth, Nirvana realm is the strongest. If I can reach the 10th level of the celestial realm, I can also deal with many things. However, the laws of heaven and earth have already been perfected. Although Nirvana realm is the strongest, I can't guarantee when an immortal will be born. Thinking about this is still too far away. If I want to become a true immortal, I have to at least reach the 10th level of the celestial realm. On the other side, Qin Shujian also knew that the various branches had sent their disciples into the secret realm, but he did not pay attention to it. After a period of recuperation, he could be considered to have officially recovered. After recovering, Qin Shujian prepared to refine the heaven list. Yes, the heaven list. The heaven list he set up this time was not just a verbal list, but also to forge a sufficiently powerful spiritual artifact. If possible, Qin Shujian hoped that in the future, the heaven list could be similar to the immortal list of myriad races of the heavenly court. This was also what he had been thinking all along. Thinking of the heaven list, Qin Shujian said, "Senior, is it convenient for you to tell me more about the immortal list of myriad races? Of course, it would be best if there is a refining method. You want to refine the immortal list of myriad races? Godslayer was surprised, but thinking of the other party's forging method that could be called a grandmaster in ancient times, he did not say much. It was good for such a person to have ideas. Thinking for a moment, Godslayer said, "Speaking of which, I do know a little about the refining method of the immortal list of myriad races. If you ask other Zubing, no one should know, but if you asked me, you've asked the right person." As one of the three great Zubing of the human race, he had a good relationship with many powerhouses of the human race. The ancient human emperor was like this. The emperor of heaven was the same. Godslayer paused and said, "I remember hearing from the emperor of heaven that there is a complete rule in the immortal list of myriad races. That is to say, with a rule, the immortal list of myriad races has the function of monitoring the myriad races in the world." Qin Shujian was stunned. The rule. There was a rule in a Tao artifact. One had to know. Other cultivators could become immortals on the spot if they mastered a rule. In that case, the immortal list of myriad races was equivalent to an immortal in disguise. This was no wonder. This Tao artifact could monitor the myriad races. Because the rule existed in heaven and earth, it was equivalent to a part of heaven and earth. The immortal list of myriad races merged with the rule, so it naturally had this function. But soon, Qin Shijian's face darkened. It was very simple. Where was he going to find a rule? If he had not mastered the rule himself, how could he use the rule to refine artifacts? So, the plan to imitate the immortal list of myriad races had undoubtedly failed. In that case, if you haven't reached the level of an ancient true immortal, you can forget about refining the immortal list of myriad races. If you want to monitor the myriad races in the world, that is indeed the case," Godslayer said. Hearing this, Qin Shujian heard a different meaning from the other party's words. "What if I don't need to monitor the myriad races, but only use it in the sect to count the strength of the sect's disciples? That's simple. Just let Yuan Zong's luck be integrated into the immortal list of myriad races that you refine," Godslayer said indifferently. "The reason why the immortal list of myriad races of the heavenly court needs to use the rule is to monitor heaven and earth, and the living beings of the myriad races are also born in heaven and earth. Only by using the rules of heaven and earth can you achieve this step. To put it bluntly, the list needs a medium to connect with living beings. If you only use it for a sect, then you can directly refine it. The disciples of the sect, even if you don't use the rules, are closely related to the sect's luck. After you succeed in refining it, just integrate Yuan Zong's luck into it." Qin Shujian suddenly understood. If Godslayer hadn't mentioned it, he really wouldn't have known about this method. Immediately after, Qin Shujian asked again, "Are there any drawbacks to doing this?" "Yes," the God-slaying saber replied directly. Qin Shujian's face darkened immediately. Whatever the saber said, it would only say half of the words. If he didn't ask carefully, he might be tricked to death. It seemed to have sensed Qin Shujian's unfriendliness. Godslayer coughed softly and said, "Because the luck is integrated into the list, unless the list is broken, the luck can't be separated. In other words, if you really do this, the list will become the carrier of the luck. At that time, you will lose the means to use the luck to fight against the enemy. However, correspondingly, the list will also have all kinds of magic after integrating the luck. At that time, the list will also be a very powerful magic weapon. This kind of magic weapon also has a special name, the Treasure of Luck." The Treasure of Luck. This was the first time Qin Shujian had heard of this name. The God-slaying saber said, "Treasures of fate do not belong to spiritual artifacts, Tao artifacts, or ancestral armaments. They are a fourth item that is independent of the three. Treasures of fate also have different strengths and weaknesses. The strong ones are comparable to Zubings, while the weak ones may only be comparable to spiritual weapons. The strength of the Treasure of Luck depends on the strength of the carrier and the strength of the luck it carries, but similarly, once the Treasure of Luck is broken, it will also cause a great loss to the luck inside. It's also because of this that very few races in ancient times would refine treasures of providence to prevent any damage to their race's providence. However, in terms of the strength of treasures of providence, it's actually more powerful if you have a carrier. For example, the top races like the human race, who have Zhu Bing as their leader, don't need the treasure of luck, so they don't want to refine it. However, for some of the weaker races that were unable to consecrate ancestral armaments, they would refine fortune treasures. After obtaining the treasure of luck, the strength of these races will increase a lot. As for the consequences, to put it bluntly, if the treasure of luck is broken, it will be a matter of life and death for those weak races. Qin Shujian fell into deep thought. Refining the treasure of luck was equivalent to giving the heaven list the effect of the list of immortals of the myriad races. At the same time, it would also give Yuan Zhong a powerful treasure. But at the same time, fate had transformed from formless to tangible. Once the treasure of fate was successfully refined, if it was damaged, it would also harm Yuan Zhong's own fate. Moreover, by doing so, he would lose the way to use his luck to fight against the enemy. After thinking about it, Qin Shujian still felt that he should refine the heaven list. Since the Godslayer said that the treasure of luck would be stronger than purely using luck to fight against the enemy, then he had no reason to refuse. As for whether the carrier would break or not, it was just as the Godslayer said. If the treasure of luck was broken, Yuan Zhong would probably die. At that time, there would be nothing to worry about. The current Yuan Zhong didn't have the capital to compete with the ancient races, nor did he have so many ways to retreat. If he really wanted to talk about it, he was just like those weak races. After making the decision, Qin Shujian immediately took out the materials and prepared to refine the heaven list. Chapter 580. Yuan sect was in the eastern continent. If he wanted to use his luck against the enemy, he had to be in the eastern continent. If there was a day when he really needed to use his luck against the enemy, the myriad races would have already broken through the eastern continent's human clan's door. Even the imperial court could not stop them. With just Yuan sect, how many ways could he retreat? So, after figuring out the crux of the matter, Qin Shujian was already prepared to refine the heaven board. Just as the Godslayer had said, refining the heaven board was to create a carrier for the sect's luck. The stronger the carrier, the stronger the treasure of luck would be after the fusion. If there was an innate embryo, Qin Shujian was more willing to forge the carrier into a Tao artifact level. But there was no innate embryo now. He could only take a step back and forge it into a top-notch spiritual artifact, just like the eastern continent's door. To forge a top-notch spiritual artifact, the materials were indispensable. If possible, it would be best to fuse with the blood essence of an expert. I've used all the blood essence of an expert. Looking at the empty storage ring, Qin Shujian's face darkened. He had swallowed so happily that he had forgotten to leave some behind. Although with his methods, even if he did not fuse with the blood essence of an expert, he could still forge a top-notch spiritual artifact. However, as top-notch spiritual artifacts, there would definitely be a difference in strength. Therefore, if he wanted to forge, he had to forge the best. Qin Shujian thought to himself, if I want to use the blood essence of an expert, I have to be at least at the 10th level of the heaven-human realm. In other words, I have to use the blood essence of the eastern continent's demon emperor. If I can use the blood essence of a Nirvana realm expert, that would be even better. Cold Mountain City was already a top-notch spiritual artifact before fusing with the innate embryo. If it did not fuse with the innate embryo but directly fused with the Star Saint's blood essence, it would not enter the category of a Tao artifact. However, it was also a top-notch spiritual artifact. If Cold Mountain City was only a top-notch spiritual artifact in the past, it would definitely be stronger than the eastern continent's door. Because the Star Saint's blood essence that was fused in the end, it was a Nirvana realm expert. And the Demon Emperor's blood essence that was fused with the eastern continent's door was only at the 10th level of the heaven-human realm. Thinking of this, Qin Shujian pondered for a moment. Right now, I don't know how many Nirvana stage experts there are in the 3 great continents. If it's a Nirvana stage expert at his peak, I shouldn't be a match for him. If that's the case, I can only find a heavily injured Nirvana stage expert. There were a few severely injured Nirvana realm martial artists. As far as he knew, there were only 4 of them. The Divine Emperor of the God Clan, the Demon Emperor of the Monster Clan, the Blood Spirit Emperor of the Blood Spirit Clan, and the Ancient Buddha Emperor of the Ancient Buddha Clan. Senior, with my current strength and Zhu Bing's help, is it possible for us to fight against a heavily injured emperor, such as the original Demon Emperor or the Ancient Buddha Emperor? Why are you asking this out of the blue? Godslayer's words were filled with doubt. What's the matter? You want to stab him when you see that he's seriously injured? Based on his understanding of Qin Shujian, this was indeed a possibility. After thinking for a while, the god-slaying saber decided to tell the truth. A Nirvana realm elite is not only powerful, but they also have an absolute understanding of the rules. Once they reach that level, they will be able to do anything. To be honest, they can almost control the rules. Even if the other party is heavily injured, they can use their own control of the rules to get rid of the power of the rules that you borrowed. In other words, if you don't have a certain level of understanding of the rules, you have to rely on your own strength to fight against a Nirvana stage expert. Based on the situation of their fight, the combat power of the 4 emperors is at least around 50,000 to 100,000. After using the power of the rules, it will be around 200,000 to 400,000. Now that they're heavily injured, their overall combat power will be at least 100,000. At this point, Godslayer said in a pessimistic tone, "With your current strength, you'll probably die if you fight against such an expert. A heavily injured Nirvana stage expert. The overall combat power that he could unleash would be around 100,000. Qin Shujian estimated his own combat power. After refining the remnants of the Demon Emperor and Blood Ling Huang, his realm did not increase, but his combat power should have reached 28,000. Combined with lawful embodiment of heaven and earth, he could more than double his original foundation. In other words, after using lawful embodiment of heaven and earth, he could unleash a combat power of more than 50,000 and less than 55,000. Even if he took the value of 55,000, it was still a far cry from a combat power of 100,000. In that case, together with the god-slaying saber, he should be able to injure a ruler. But what about after he was injured? His vital essence would be exhausted, and then he would be attacked by a group of experts from the same race? Qin Shujian was a little tired. He thought that he was strong enough, but now that he thought about it, he realized that he was still far from it. The emperors of some weak races should not have the strength of a Nirvana stage expert. In other words, the strength of the other party was probably around Celestial Being level 10. And even if they reached the Nirvana stage, their strength would not be as strong as the 4 emperors. After all, the gap between the Nirvana stage experts was quite big. Like the human emperor, he could hang up and beat up 4 of them. An expert of this level, even if he was seriously injured, could still crush those ordinary Nirvana stage experts. To be able to become the top race of the 3 continents, in addition to the heritage left behind from ancient times. The real reason? It was because of the number of top experts each race had. Speaking of which, when the war started, how many races participated in the war? Qin Shujian thought about it. He was not too sure. Because the war was too chaotic. In addition, most of the experts of the various races appeared in human form in front of others. It was impossible to distinguish them from the surface. They could only be distinguished from each other's aura. Here came the problem. The war was chaotic, and the aura was turbid. Qin Shujian could not perceive too much. Let's go and see the situation first. Qin Shujian did not think about this for the time being. He was ready to leave the forbidden grounds and go down. Before he left, he also took a look at his life source. It was not much, less than 10 billion. Such a life source. To be honest, the martial arts that could be improved were useless. None of the truly useful martial arts could be improved. Therefore, Qin Shujian just glanced at it and ignored it. He arrived at the mountain gate. Qin Shujian saw Jiang Feng sitting there cross-legged. At this moment, Jiang Feng had already put on his black robe again, and nothing could be seen from his appearance. However, he knew that this zombie was seriously injured. He did not know if it was because zombies were blessed by the heavens that they had a strong physical body that far exceeded that of other creatures. Such a physical body was not easy to be damaged. But at the same time, once the physical body was damaged, it would be very troublesome to recover. Qin Shujian said, "Is there any faster way to recover the zombie?" Other than Jiang Feng, he was the only one at the mountain gate. Therefore, the person he was talking to was the God Slayer in his sea of consciousness. As expected, when Qin Shujian finished speaking, the God Slayer naturally said, "Zombies are a strange race. They are most dependent on the flesh and blood of living creatures and the power of extreme yin. If you want to recover quickly, you can either place him in a place of extreme yin or let him devour enough flesh and blood of living creatures. The former requires a little more time, while the latter will be much more convenient. Moreover, the stronger the flesh and blood of living creatures, the faster the zombie can recover. At the same time, it can also improve its own strength," the Godslayer said. "If I'm not wrong, your zombie is only at the first level of the celestial being realm. Its strength is a little weak. If you can let him devour enough flesh and blood of experts, his strength will definitely increase very quickly." The zombie race has a great talent, which is that there is no bottleneck in their improvement. As long as they devour enough energy, they can naturally break through to a higher level. Moreover, this race does not need to comprehend any rules. As long as their strength reaches a certain level, the rules will naturally descend. Qin Shujian looked surprised. When their strength reached a certain level, the rules would automatically descend. Didn't this mean that it would be very convenient for the zombie race to increase their strength? If that's the case, the zombie race should have been a top race in ancient times. It's not that easy. Zombies don't need to comprehend rules, but they also have a flaw, which is that they need to devour a lot of energy. There was once a zombie emperor who devoured an immortal with his own strength, but he still failed to successfully enter the level of a true immortal. It can be said that the price of the birth of every zombie powerhouse is far beyond your imagination. The God Slayer said indifferently. Heaven and earth were fair. When you were given an advantage, you would be deprived of another advantage. This was the case for the zombie race. They did not need to comprehend rules. When their strength reached a certain level, the rules would naturally descend. However, at the same time, the powerhouses of this race needed an extremely long time to increase their strength. If they wanted to shorten the time, they had to devour enough energy. Even so, the amount of energy they devoured was not something that other living creatures could compare to. If an ordinary living creature needed 1 point of energy to break through from the first level of the celestial being realm to the second level, then the zombie race needed at least 5 points, or even 10 to 20 points. Such a gap made it difficult for the zombie race to produce a top powerhouse. It was just like how a zombie wanted to become an immortal. It needed to devour 100 or 80 celestial beings or nirvana realm powerhouses, or it needed to devour a few immortals. No matter which method it was, it made the zombie race hated by other races. Besides that, even if there were really powerhouses of the zombie race who were lucky enough to kill an immortal, they might not have the chance to kill a second or third immortal. In the end, they would definitely attract powerful existences. Therefore, the reason why the zombie race had so few powerhouses was mostly because they were killed by others. Qin Shujian nodded slightly. In the hidden secret art that he had obtained, there was no detailed explanation of these things. It only gave some methods to refine corpses. Now, from the Godslayer, he understood how the zombie race increased their strength. Subsequently, Qin Shujian said, "Follow me." This time, the person who spoke was Jiang Feng. Although Jiang Feng's intelligence was lacking, he could still understand some basic instructions. Therefore, when Qin Shujian finished speaking, he also got up from the ground and silently stood behind Qin Shujian. At the entrance of the passage, the original heaven and earth restriction was opened, and the 4 city gates had been moved to the other 3 continents. However, to be safe, the imperial court had also sent an army to the entrance of the eastern continent. After all, there might be powerhouses from other races sneaking in, so they had to be prepared. The eastern continent was the current headquarters of the human race. The imperial court did not want other races to interfere. As long as they controlled the resources of a continent, the human race would be in an invincible position. If other races swarmed into the eastern continent, then the human race's strength would be much weaker. At this moment, there was an army of 1,000,000 stationed at the entrance of the passage, and a large number of craftsmen were building a new city for the army to rest. When Qin Shujian arrived here, in addition to the imperial court guards, there were also some cultivators who were walking out from the eastern continent. The 3 continents were connected. For many cultivators, this was a rare opportunity. Everyone wanted to try their luck. Among them, the number of players was the largest. The players were not afraid of death. Compared to the 3 continents that had not been developed yet, the players wanted to go in and expand their territory. If they were successful, it wouldn't be a big problem even if he was completely cleared of all the benefits he had gained from it. However, even if they wanted to leave the eastern continent, it would not be easy. In front of each passage, there was a mirror erected. Wait! Mirror. Qin Shujian saw that everyone had to look in front of the mirror to pass through the passage. No matter how he looked at it, he found it strange. Could this be the legendary demon-revealing mirror? Qin Shujian could not help but complain. As soon as he finished speaking, the God-Slayer in his sea of consciousness said in surprise, "Why, you've heard of the demon-revealing mirror too?" In his opinion, Qin Shujian knew nothing about the ancient times. How would he know about such a high-end thing like the demon-revealing mirror? The God-Slayer found it strange. Qin Shujian also looked surprised. Is that really the demon-revealing mirror? What he said about the demon-revealing mirror was just a passing remark. But from what the God-Slayer said, it seemed that there really was a demon-revealing mirror. The God-Slayer said, "Actually, the demon-revealing mirror is just a saying. If I'm not mistaken, that mirror's real name should be the heavenly mirror. In the past, in order to observe all races in the world, the Emperor of Heaven made the heavenly mirror. This mirror can observe the world and see the true forms of all races. It's a powerful treasure, comparable to the immortal rankings of all races. But unfortunately, the heavenly mirror was broken during the invasion of the demon abyss. If I'm not wrong, that bronze mirror is a fragment of the heavenly mirror. That familiar aura is not so easy to forget. But now that the heavenly mirror is broken, it should not be able to monitor the world anymore. It seems that it can only identify races at most. The heavenly mirror! The demon-revealing mirror! Qin Shujian looked at the bronze mirror with a fire in his heart. If it was a complete heavenly mirror, it would be awesome. However, even if it was a broken heavenly mirror, it was still a treasure. And when it was complete, it was a 9-sealed Dao weapon. Now that it was broken, it was probably at the level of 4 or 5 seals. The God-Slayer said, "At first, I was a little doubtful whether the current human emperor of the human race had really obtained the legacy of the heavenly court, but now it seems that I'm 100% sure. The fragment of the heavenly mirror is not so easy to get. Only from the heavenly court can we get this treasure." Qin Shujian understood. It was not surprising that the human emperor had obtained the legacy of the heavenly court. It was said that he was the son of fate. If he did not have some opportunities, how could he be called the son of fate? Besides, since the human emperor could hang the 4 emperors and beat them, where did his foundation come from? It was almost impossible to cultivate to this level step by step. Qin Shujian was very clear about this. He could have his current foundation because of the cheat, the source of life. The human emperor had great strength, so he must have some cheat codes. But now, the human emperor's cheat code should be the heavenly court. Then Qin Shujian asked again. The immortal leaderboard of 10,000 clans has a complete law. Does that mean the heavenly mirror also has a complete law? That's right. The god-slaying saber said. 9-sealed Dao artifacts differ in strength. A truly top-notch 9-sealed Dao artifact is one that has fused with a complete set of laws. In terms of power, they are actually not at all inferior to ancestral armaments. Anything integrated with laws would not be simple, Qin Shujian said. If that's the case, why not integrate more laws and directly create a supreme treasure? This question had just appeared in his mind. Since it could capture laws, the more laws it contained, the more powerful it would be. If he had the ability, Qin Shujian would definitely fuse 180 to 180 rules into it. Then, he would be able to kill an ancient true immortal with one slash. The God-slayer said faintly. Do you really think it's that easy to capture laws? Capturing laws will lead to the counterattack of the mother stream of laws. Every time you capture a law, it's equivalent to crossing a calamity. And the more laws you capture, the stronger the calamity. In the face of such calamity, even an ancient true immortal would die if he was not careful. Besides, no matter how strong a 9-sealed Dao artifact is, it still has its limits. It's already not easy to accommodate one law. If you want to arbitrarily accommodate more laws, I'm afraid that the Dao artifact will explode before the law punishment arrives. Qin Shujian's face darkened when he heard the Godslayer's tone of speaking as if he was talking about an idiot. However, he also understood how wrong his original idea was. It was not easy to capture laws. There was also a limit to the capacity of a Dao weapon. Qin Shujian looked at the heavenly mirror at the entrance of the passage, then walked over. At this moment, one of the experts guarding the entrance of the passageway suddenly opened his eyes and looked in Qin Shujian's direction. His face was immediately filled with shock, and he immediately walked forward. Duan Sun greets sect leader Qin. General Duan, you're too polite, Qin Shujian said with a smile. How could he not know the general who pacifies the East, Duan Sun? Among the 5 generals of the imperial court, Dan Hao was the leader, and Duan Sun was one of them. During the Battle of the Imperial City, Duan Sun also participated in the Battle of the Various Races not long ago. Qin Shujian still had some impression of this general who pacifies the East. Besides, he was also an expert at the peak of the Saint Realm, and his strength was very strong. Duan Sun said politely, Sect leader Qin, are you going to the 3 continents? Standing in front of Qin Shujian. He did not have the arrogance of the general who pacifies the East at all. Because Duan Sun knew very well what kind of person Qin Shujian was in front of him. During the battle of the past, the other party had shown absolute strength and killed mighty figures like slaughtering dogs. He also admired this very much. If Qin Shujian had not killed so many powerful enemies, even if the human race won this time, the casualties would have been extremely heavy. Even Duan Sun, he might not be able to survive to the end. In fact, now, among the various races of the 3 continents, Qin Shujian was the second strongest person of the human race. That's right. The second strongest person of the human race. The first was the human emperor. The second was Qin Shujian in front of him. Therefore, at this moment, Duan Sun saw Qin Shujian and didn't dare to be rude. Hearing the inquiry, Qin Shujian nodded and said, I have something to do in the 3 continents, and need to borrow the passage. Okay. Duan Sun nodded. Then, he led Qin Shujian to the entrance of the passage. When they walked into the entrance of the passage, the sky-reaching mirror was already standing there. Seeing Qin Shujian staring at the sky-reaching mirror, Duan Sun said with a faint smile, This is a supreme treasure given by His Majesty, called the sky-reaching mirror. It can reflect the race of living beings and also distinguish the identity of the human race. It was set up to prevent all races from sneaking into the East continent. According to the rules, sect leader Qin has to stay in front of the sky-reaching mirror for a while. He was also afraid that Qin Shujian would misunderstand. After all, it would be bad if there was any misunderstanding between such an expert. Okay. Qin Shujian didn't refuse. He also wanted to see how mysterious the sky-reaching mirror was. At this moment, coincidentally, the human in front had already left the sky-reaching mirror and entered the passage. Next, it was Qin Shujian's turn. Standing in front of the sky-reaching mirror, he saw the bronze mirror emitting a faint light. At that moment, Qin Shujian felt as if something was scanning his body. In an instant, he was seen through. Then, a series of words appeared on the sky-reaching mirror. Name, Qin Shujian Race, Human Realm, Level 5 of the Heavenly Human Realm Combat Strength, 28, 500. The information on it only appeared for a moment before it disappeared. But looking at the scene just now, Qin Shujian couldn't help but complain in his heart. God Slayer didn't tell him that the sky-reaching mirror could see so clearly. Except for the cultivation method column and the source of life, everything else was seen. The sky-reaching mirror! At this moment, Qin Shujian had a better understanding of the word sky-reaching. If the sky-reaching mirror was really so powerful, then it could indeed be said that it was all-seeing. Not only was his cultivation level revealed, but even his combat strength couldn't be hidden. Qin Shujian estimated that his combat strength was about 28,000, but looking at the value given by the sky-reaching mirror, he was even more prepared. 28,500. For a moment, Qin Shujian wanted to take the sky-reaching mirror back. Such a supreme treasure. It was really awesome. As for Duan Sun, he also fell into a daze. It wasn't that Qin Shujian's cultivation level was too high, but that it was too low. Fifth-tier celestial being? Duan Sun turned his head to look at Qin Shujian. He never thought that this existence who could kill mighty figures and be called the second strongest person of the human race was only a fifth-tier celestial being saint cultivator. Was a fifth-tier celestial being very strong? It was indeed very strong. However, compared to Qin Shujian's battle record, a fifth-tier celestial being was a little too weak. However, the cultivation level was secondary. What really shocked Duan Sun was that Qin Shujian's combat strength was as high as 28,500. One should know that the combat strength reflected by the sky-reaching mirror was only the most basic combat strength. It couldn't be seen at a deeper level. Then, he thought about the combat strength he reflected. Duan Sun fell into self-doubt. Chapter 581. When Qin Shujian and Jiang Feng stepped into the entrance of the passageway, Duan Sun walked up to the sky-reach mirror. Name, Duan Sun Race, Human Realm, Level 6 Celestial Being Combat Strength, 3, 200. An ordinary Level 4 Celestial Being had a combat strength of 500, Level 5 Celestial Being had a combat strength of 1000, and Level 6 Celestial Being had a combat strength of 1500 to 2000. One could have a combat strength of 3200. Duan Sun could be considered powerful among Level 6 Celestial Beings. There's no problem. Duan Sun was puzzled when he saw the combat strength displayed. The sky-reach mirror recorded the information of all humans in the Eastern continent. As long as a human from the Eastern continent passed through, the sky-reach mirror would be able to identify them. If it could not identify them, there was no doubt that the person did not belong to the Eastern continent. As for combat strength, he had only learned about it not long ago. Duan Sun had some understanding of this division. After all, there were strong and weak experts in each realm. If it was just based on realm alone, it was difficult to guess the depth. If it was based on combat strength, it would be much clearer. Of course, the sky-reach mirror only saw the combat strength on the surface. Ordinary cultivators would have many tricks up their sleeves. When it came to a real battle, combat strength was not absolute. However, Duan Sun looked at his 3200 combat strength and thought of Qin Shujian's 28,500. He suddenly felt a little breathless. Such combat strength, if it was said that Qin Shujian was a level 10 celestial being expert, there would probably be people who would believe it. However, the other party was a level 5 celestial being. This fact was even more shocking than a level 10 celestial being. A level 5 celestial being already had such powerful combat strength. If he were to reach level 6 celestial being, level 7 celestial being, or even level 10 celestial being, how powerful would he be? Duan Sun did not dare to imagine. Therefore, after the shock, he did not hesitate to send the news back. Middle State Prefecture. Imperial City. The human emperor withdrew from his cultivation, then took out the communication jade talisman, and read the information inside. After a while, a look of astonishment appeared on his face. He's really a level 5 celestial being? As for Qin Shujian's strength, the human emperor had some guesses. Although the rule-bending power on the other party's body seemed to indicate that the other party was indeed at the saint stage, he didn't think so after the other party had severely injured the high priest of the Protoss. According to the human emperor's guess, Qin Shujian must have some kind of treasure on him that could conceal his aura. That was why people couldn't detect his true cultivation level. However, Duan Sun's message made the human ruler suspicious. If he said that his perception was wrong, in that case, the heaven-piercing mirror would definitely not be wrong. 5th-tier celestial being with a combat power of 28,500? It seems that we have underestimated you. The human emperor smiled faintly. He had already overestimated Qin Shujian. But now, it seemed that he had still underestimated the other party. But this is good as well. The stronger you are, the better it will be for the human race. The human emperor suddenly sighed. Subsequently, he began to cultivate again. In the previous battle, the sovereigns of the 4 races were severely injured, but the Renhuang was also severely injured. The current situation. The human race could not afford to be without a supreme master. Otherwise, the situation that the human race had created with great difficulty would completely collapse. Therefore, the recovery of his injuries was imperative. On the other side, Qin Shujian also stepped into the passage. Not long after, the darkness in the passage disappeared. Just like the entrance, there were also powerhouses from the imperial court guarding the exit. Seeing Qin Shujian and a black-robed man coming out, the powerhouse guarding the exit was also stunned for a moment, but he quickly reacted and went forward to greet him enthusiastically. Greetings, sect leader Qin. You're welcome. Qin Shujian nodded in response and then left. He was familiar with Duan Sun, but he did not have much of an impression of this person. To this, the powerhouse guarding the passage did not say anything. If it were anyone else who left so simply, it would be too arrogant. But if Qin Shujian did so, there was no problem. With the passage as the foundation, the territory of the human race was within a radius of 100,000 miles. Actually, that was not right. Because behind the passage was the eastern continent. Right now, the eastern continent was covered with a huge eggshell, and there was a crack in the middle of this eggshell. Therefore, it became the connection point between the eastern continent and the 3 major continents. And this eggshell was the void turbulence. Therefore, seriously speaking, behind the passage was the eastern continent, and in front of it were the 3 major continents. It was not correct to say that it was a radius of 100,000 miles. Strictly speaking, it should be a radius of 100,000 miles with the passage as the foundation. 4 majestic cities, each occupying one side. They firmly guarded the entrance of the passage. Besides that, there were also many forces in the cultivation world that had entered here, and they each built their own forces' foundations in this 100,000-mile area. It could be said that the current 100,000-mile area was actually the headquarters of the human race in the 3 major continents. In layman's terms, it was a supply point and a safe area. If someone went deep into the 3 major continents and encountered trouble, they could directly hide here. With the current power of the human race, no powerhouse would really dare to go deep into the 3 major continents to pursue. At the same time, if they lacked anything, they could also buy it here. Even Yuan sect. They all sent people to build a Yuan pavilion branch here. The 4 sides of the city were named after the 4 sides. Qin Shujian was going to the eastern city at this moment. A Saint Realm powerhouse could travel thousands of miles in one step. It did not take much time. Qin Shujian saw a majestic city appear in his sight. A city. There were 4 entrances. Qin Shujian randomly chose an entrance and went straight in. Stepping into the city, there was a surging tide of people inside. Now that they had entered the 3 major continents, it was an irresistible temptation for many people. The eastern city was one of the 4 cities. Naturally, it had also become one of the headquarters of the human race. Qin Shujian seemed to have sensed something. He took another step and appeared in front of a tall building. On the plaque, the words Yuan Pavilion were written. This was the branch set up by Yuan's sect in the 100,000-mile area. In the 4 cities, Yuan Pavilion only set up a branch in the eastern city. Walking inside, there were also many people in Yuan Pavilion. After all, with the development of Yuan Pavilion, coupled with Qin Shujian's reputation, Yuan Pavilion's name was also getting bigger and bigger. Many sects wanted to imitate Yuan Pavilion. But in the end, no one was able to shake Yuan Pavilion's position. Walking into Yuan Pavilion, immediately, someone recognized Qin Shujian's identity. Sect Master Qin, who had never concealed his identity, was easily recognized wherever he went. Suddenly, a deacon of Yuan Pavilion came up and bowed respectfully. "Greetings, Sect Master!" Please follow me, Sect Master!" The deacon respectfully led Qin Shujian in. It was only after Qin Shujian had completely left the hall that there was quite a bit of movement in the quiet hall. "That's the Sect Master of Yuan Sect, Qin Shujian. He's completely different from what I imagined. The #1 powerhouse in the cultivation world, he lives up to his name. That aura seems to make one tremble with fear just by looking at him. Hey, what #1 powerhouse in the cultivation world? Sect Master Qin is now the #2 powerhouse of the human race, a supreme powerhouse only below the human emperor. If you say that he's the #1 in the cultivation world, you're belittling him." Hearing these words, the others all fell silent. That's right. The so-called #1 powerhouse in the cultivation world was already a thing of the past. In the past, other cultivators still didn't know how big the gap between the cultivation world and the imperial court was. But in the battle of the past, it really made people understand that the strength of the cultivation world was not qualified to be compared with the imperial court. He was said to be the #1 powerhouse in the cultivation world. But even Su Jing, who could be said to be the #1 in the past, also fell in the battle. Transcendent, Saint, Almighty. The 3 realms of celestial and human were now no secret. If divided by the 3 realms, the powerhouses in the cultivation world in the past were all in the 1st realm. Such a gap, it was impossible to make up for it. Fortunately, there was now a Qin Shujian in the cultivation world. One had to know, the #2 powerhouse of the human race didn't just refer to the cultivation world, nor did it refer to the imperial court. It included all the humans in the entire eastern continent. This #2. It was very important. And because of this, the cultivators in the cultivation world could hold their heads high in front of the imperial court. After all, in the cultivation world, there was a supreme powerhouse second only to the human emperor. Such an existence, it was not comparable to the #1 powerhouse in the cultivation world in the past. A cultivator sighed with emotion. The cultivation world has produced Sect Master Qin, which can be considered as winning glory for us. At least we also have a supreme powerhouse. Speaking of Sect Master Qin, Si Hai of the Sea Covering Sect also hid his strength. It's a pity that he was able to kill Almighty. Some people also mentioned Si Hai. Hearing this, many people nodded in agreement. Si Hai's strength was unquestionable. Being able to kill Almighty meant that he was definitely Almighty. But what was regrettable was that, after Si Hai killed the foreign tribe's Almighty, he had completely disappeared. The overturned Sea sect had also sent experts to search for this elder. Unfortunately, there was no news of him so far. Many people were secretly guessing whether something had happened to Si Hai, which led to this. However, although the sea covering sect was now without Si Hai, no one dared to act rashly. First, there were orders from the imperial court. Second, although Si Hai was missing, he didn't really die. If they attacked the sea covering sect, when Si Hai returned, they would have to bear the anger of Almighty. Judging from the current situation of the cultivation world, apart from Yuan Zong, who had the confidence to face Almighty, who else had the confidence to face Almighty? For a moment, the topic also shifted from Qin Shujian to the sea covering sect. On the other side, under the guidance of the deacon, Qin Shujian had already walked to the second floor above. As for Jiang Feng, he was wearing a black robe and silently followed behind like a wooden man. A spacious hall appeared in their line of sight. "Sect Master, please take a seat. I'll inform the pavilion master right away." After the deacon said that, he respectfully retreated. Qin Shujian sat down in his seat with Jiang Feng standing behind him. Soon, a middle-aged man hurried in. When he saw Qin Shujian, he immediately bowed and saluted. "Subordinate Luo Xing greets the sect master." "Rise." "Thank you, sect master." Luo Xing straightened up, then stood in front of Qin Shujian and respectfully asked, "Sect master, what instructions do you have for coming to the Eastern City's Yuan Pavilion branch today?" From the beginning to the end, he had used the title of subordinate. Because after the separation from Yuan Zong, the pavilion master of Yuan Pavilion was not considered a disciple of Yuan Zong. Seriously speaking, this was the first time he had seen such a thing. Yuan Pavilion and Yuan Zong were more like subordinates. So, Luo Xing would call himself a subordinate. "Sit down and talk," Qin Shujian said lightly. The pavilion master of the Yuan Pavilion branch was not appointed by him as the sect master, but by the great elder Xingfang. To be able to be the pavilion master, strength and loyalty must be top-notch. When Luo Xing sat down, Qin Shujian also used his Dharma eyes to look at him. Loyalty level, 93. Realm reached the 8th level of the spiritual martial realm. To be honest, such strength was still a little lacking to be the pavilion master of Yuan Pavilion. Because Yuan Pavilion came from a top sect. But one thing to know, now, Yuan Zone was short of manpower and did not have a single divine martial realm expert. Under such circumstances, the strength of the 8th level of the spiritual martial realm was already very strong. During this period of time, has Yuan Pavilion collected any information about the 3 continents? Qin Shujian said. The purpose of his visit this time was to get some information about the 3 continents through Yuan Pavilion. Some people did not use it. If he had to inquire about them one by one, it would be equivalent to wasting time. Hearing that, Luo Xing said in a deep voice, "Now many people have entered the 3 continents, but because there is not much time left to break through the restriction of heaven and earth, and the 3 continents are vast and boundless, not much information has been sent back in a short period of time. I don't know what kind of information the sect master wants to know. If there is an accurate target, it will be easier for me to answer. I want to know the complete information about the Earth Eldar." Qin Shujian thought for a while and said, "Apart from the 4 big clans, the one that left the deepest impression on him was the Earth Eldar. There was no other way." Qin Shujian could not forget the phrase, "The Earth Eldar pan the mountain," he had decided. First, he would understand the situation of the Earth Eldar. If the Earth Eldar was not strong, then the essence blood would fall on the other party's head. After all, the Earth Eldar had also attacked the human clan. Now that he had fought back, the other clans had nothing to say. But if he attacked the clans that did not besiege the human clan, then he needed to seriously consider it. After so many years, many clans did not have the determination to kill the human clan. The reason was because the human clan did not show any intention to attack the other clans. Moreover, the human clan was too strong. If there was no need, no clans would want to be the human clan's enemy. As a result, if the human clan rashly attacked the non-hostile clans, it would easily arouse the fear of the other neutral clans. When that time came, maybe it would be the scene from 200,000 years ago. So, before the human clan's strength truly reached the level where it could suppress the other clans, they had to restrain themselves. There were not many targets that Qin Shijian could attack. On the other side, Luo Xing pondered for a moment and then said, "Reporting to the sect master, the Earth Eldar is one of the 5 elements Eldar. It is a subordinate of the demon clan. Its strength can only be said to be medium, not very strong or very weak. The Earthling Huang is an expert at the 10th level of the celestial being realm. But in recent years he has been in seclusion. It seems that he wants to break through to the Nirvana realm. In addition, the Earth Eldar has a total of 5 powerful experts, but 3 of them fell in the war. Now there are only 2 powerful experts on the surface. One is the Great Elder of the Earth Eldar, who is said to be at the 9th level of the celestial being realm. The other is the Divine Guardian General of the Earth Eldar, whose strength is between the 8th and 9th level of the celestial being realm. In addition to the 2 powerful experts, the Earth Eldar has 6 celestial beings, 2 saints, and 4 transcendents." Luo Xing gave some basic information about the Earth Eldar one by one. He did not say how many experts there were below the celestial being realm. First, it was not easy to calculate this number. Second, Luo Xing knew that Qin Shijian would not need this kind of information. As the pavilion master of a branch of the Yuan Pavilion, he still had some basic eyesight. After hearing Luo Xing's words, Qin Shijian sat still in his seat and fell into silence. Compared to the other races, the Earth Eldar's strength was not considered strong. But strictly speaking, they were not weak at all. At least, in front of powerful experts, the Earth Eldar was not much different from the human race. The human race had 8 powerful experts. He was not considered a powerful expert, and he was not sure whether Si Ha Hai was a powerful expert. So strictly speaking, the human race had 8 powerful experts in the imperial court. The number of powerful experts in a single Earth Eldar was more than half of the human race's total. There was no need to say much about the other races. As for the possibility of winning this war, Qin Shijian also felt very fortunate right now. The strength of each race alone might not be as strong as the human race, but if they really worked together, they could definitely destroy the human race. Unfortunately, each race is selfish. No one will really fight to the death for the sake of destroying the human race. Even the God race and the demon race have some reservations. Otherwise, the Divine Emperor and the Demon Emperor would not have run away so quickly. Compared to destroying the human race, the foundation of the 2 races is more important, Qin Shijian thought to himself. Then, he also analyzed the strength of the Earth Eldar. An Earthling Huang who may or may not have stepped into the Nirvana realm. And 1, let's say 2 experts at the 9th level of the celestial being realm. In Qin Shijian's view, such strength could only be considered average. At least, if he broke into the Earth Eldar was not confident that they could keep him here. However, the information that the Yuan Pavilion had now should not be all that the Earth Eldar had. No race would expose all their trump cards. That meant that the Earth Eldar might still be hiding a few powerful people. Thinking of this, Qin Shijian sighed. The foundation of the human race is still too shallow. The war 200,000 years ago consumed too much. Until now, they have not recovered. In his view, the human race should not have opened the heaven and earth restrictions so quickly. Now that the demon race had been expelled, and after a few thousand years of recuperation, many celestial beings would be born. But the facts did not allow it. The demon abyss was a problem. The human emperor was also a problem. If the heaven and earth restriction was not opened, the rules were not complete. Then the road to immortality was considered broken. Therefore, if the human emperor did not want to die, he must open the heaven and earth restriction. Now, the human race was fighting with their backs to the river. It was worth rejoicing. From the current results, the human race had won. Not a complete victory, but a temporary victory. Luo Xing did not dare to interrupt Qin Shujian's soliloquy. Then, Qin Shujian recovered from his contemplation and said faintly, "Is there any news from the divine race?" "There is not much news from the divine race. They only have one Nirvana realm expert, the Divine Emperor, and a 10th level celestial being expert, the High Priest of the divine race who was seriously injured by the sect leader. But there are many celestial beings on the divine race's side. Now that many powerful people have fallen, there are still no less than 10 powerful people guarding the divine race. But because the divine race controls the news more strictly, Yuan Pavilion did not get much news in a short time." Luo Xing answered all the questions. He had long been aware of this information. After all, Yuan Pavilion sometimes sold information in addition to issuing tasks. In general. That is, they would develop in all aspects, making Yuan Pavilion's business more comprehensive. Hearing this, Qin Shujian also had a certain understanding of the strength of the divine race. It was obvious. As a trader, the divine race had developed better than the human race. After all, the human race had been in an abyss of suffering in the eastern continent these years. It was only in the last few thousand years that they slowly improved. But compared to the accumulation of the divine race over the years, it was still far behind. However, there were some things that could not be taken lightly. Although the powerful people of the human race were not as strong as the divine race, a human emperor was enough to fight against dozens of powerful people. At this time, the effect of the strength of the strongest people of a race was revealed. Then, Luo Xing paused for a moment and said, "Recently, Yuan Pavilion also received another piece of news, but it is not sure if it is true or not." "What news?" "There are also mutants in the 3 major continents." "Are you sure?" Qin Shujian's expression changed slightly. This news was really beyond his expectations. There were also players in the 3 major continents. This was not a small piece of news. Judging from the situation of the players in the eastern continent, no one should know about the existence of the 3 major continents. There was no impenetrable wall in the world. If there were players in the other 3 major continents, then there would be news in the eastern continent. But since there was no news, then there was only one explanation. No players appeared in the 3 major continents. Or rather, in the real world where the players were, no one came to the 3 major continents. Qin Shujian's expression kept changing. If that was the case, the players in the 3 major continents and the players in the eastern continent might not be in the same world. There is more than one real world. Is it a parallel world or something else? How long have the players in the 3 major continents been here? Did they come in earlier or later than the players in the eastern continent? Or did they come in at the same time? If the players exist in multiple worlds, then are there also multiple worlds beyond this world? For a moment, many thoughts emerged in Qin Shujian's mind. Luo Xing's news had truly shocked him. If there were other players in the 3 major continents, this was not a small piece of news. If all the players came in at the same time, it would be fine. But if the players in the 3 major continents came in first, then with the development potential of the players, they would have accumulated a deep foundation by now. Once the players became a force. No one knew the horror of this race better than Qin Shujian. "Do you know when the mutants in the 3 major continents appeared?" "There is no news for now." "Investigate, investigate with all your might. Find out when the mutants in the 3 major continents arrived. It would be best if you could find out where these mutants came from." "Yes, sir." "P.S. Update first, the others are being written." Chapter 582. Coming out of Yuan Cabinet. Qin Shujian could not calm down for a long time. He thought that the players from the eastern continent were the only ones. Because the players from the eastern continent had been left far behind by him, and did not pose any threat at all, Qin Shujian was not too worried. But now that new players had emerged from the 3 continents, it was worth paying attention to. He was not afraid of anything. just in case. If the new players had entered the game at the same time as the players from the eastern continent, it would be fine. But if these players had developed for hundreds or thousands of years, Qin Shujian felt a chill in his heart. However, after the shock, he gradually calmed down. From the situation of the previous war, not a single player from the 3 continents participated. With the nature of the players, it is impossible for them not to participate in such a war. In other words, the players from the 3 continents are not qualified to participate in the war. In such a war at the celestial level, players at least in the god martial arts realm can barely be cannon fodder. In this case, the players from the 3 continents should not have developed for too long, Qin Shujian recalled. During the war, no players intervened in the battle at the celestial level. He understood the character of the players. If a large number of players had broken through to the god martial arts realm, these players would definitely dare to form a team to hunt the Celestials. But no. In other words, the players from the 3 continents had not reached the point where they could pose a threat to the Celestials. With this deduction, the players from the 3 continents should be similar to the players from the eastern continent. As for whether there were players among the low-level cultivators who participated in the war, Qin Shujian really did not pay attention. This matter, Qin Shujian did not pay too much attention to it for the time being. He just asked Yuan Cabinet to collect information on the players. As for now, he had obtained the location of the Eldar and was ready to go to this race. On the other side, a group of players was fleeing in the wilderness. Behind them, many players were chasing after them. After an unknown period of time, the group of fleeing players gradually got rid of the pursuit. In a dense forest, Wang Renbin's face was dark. While his eyes were gloomy, they were also filled with disbelief and shock. As a wanted criminal of the imperial court, Wang Renbin had been waiting for an opportunity to leave the eastern continent. It was not until all the cultivators entered the passage to participate in the war that he led the players and took the opportunity to sneak in. After entering the battlefield, Wang Renbin led his men and fled. No one paid too much attention to a group of true martial realm cultivators. Occasionally, the shockwaves from the fights between experts would spread out and kill quite a number of players. After many of them dropped a level, the Wang clan finally escaped from the battlefield and officially entered the 3 great continents. Just as Wang Renbin was preparing to lead these 100 people to show their prowess in the 3 continents and develop the Wang family's influence, reality gave him a heavy blow. So, there were already other players in the 3 continents. Regarding this news, Wang Renbin was extremely shocked. He was sure that no one in the world he was in had entered the 3 continents. Therefore, after learning the news, Wang Renbin immediately had the same idea as Qin Shujian. The players of the 3 continents came from other worlds. In other words, the real world wasn't the only world. Wang Renbin's shock was needless to say. In the end, before he could figure out the situation, he was immediately chased by players from the 3 continents. Those players were about the same strength as them, but there were too many of them. Wang Renbin didn't want to fight a hopeless battle, so he could only temporarily retreat with his men. Until now, they had finally gotten rid of the pursuit. "Young Master Wang, is there really a second world in the real world?" A player panted, looking extremely shocked. If this news were to spread, it would be enough to shock the entire world. No. This news might have already spread out by now. It was just that they didn't go offline, so they weren't sure. Wang Renbin's gloomy face became solemn, and he said in a deep voice, "If nothing unexpected happens, that is indeed the case. But from the current situation, I'm afraid it's not as simple as having one more world." The world they were in had descended on the East continent. Then, another world had directly descended on the 3 great continents. This was somewhat unreasonable. The most likely reason was a world descending on a continent. Therefore, in Wang Renbin's opinion, perhaps there wasn't just one more world, but 3 more people from the world. However, he couldn't verify these guesses for the time being. But there was one thing that Wang Renbin was sure of. That was, the Wang family's idea of entering the 3 great continents first and then occupying a place was completely ruined. Not only were there players in the East continent, but there were also many other players. In terms of strength, they were not inferior to the East continent at all. As for how much these players had grown, Wang Rinbin wasn't sure. Everyone, bind to the new resurrection point and go offline together. I need to report this back to the family. Wang Rinbin gave a simple explanation and then disappeared from where he stood. The others looked at each other and went offline one after another. At this moment, the players' forum had completely exploded. The news of the new world had already spread when Wang Rinbin went offline. In the real world, the Blade Master was originally walking in the city like an ordinary person, but his footsteps suddenly paused, and he heard many voices. Have you heard? There are players from other worlds in the 3 great continents. This news has already spread, who doesn't know? I really didn't expect there to be other worlds outside our world. Didn't someone explore before, and there were no signs of life beyond the sky? Who knows, maybe there are places where life exists, and they are very far away from us. I heard that there isn't just one world in the 3 great continents, but there are players from all 3 worlds at the same time. The Blade Master was slightly stunned. Other worlds. 3 worlds. This news came as a surprise to him. After pausing for a while, the Blade Master had already figured out the ins and outs of everything. TSK, you're really not afraid that you can't handle it? He looked up at the sky, which seemed to be densely covered by laws. The Blade Master shook his head, and fortunately, he didn't care about this matter anymore. It wasn't that he didn't want to care, but he really couldn't care so much. The sensation in the real world. For Qin Shujian, it didn't affect him much. After all, although the world he was in was somewhat related to the real world, they were 2 completely different worlds. At this moment, Qin Shujian was also on his way to Eldar. The 3 great continents were very big. Moreover, the teleportation gates built in each city were incomplete. This was because this place wasn't completely unified by the great Zhao dynasty like the East continent, but was ruled by all races. Although there were many races that would build cities in various places. These cities, other than building teleportation portals to their own cities, would not be connected to the cities of other races. The cities of Eldar. They were all near the Eldar. In this situation, there was no difference whether they took the teleportation portals or not. Every step Qin Shujian took was enough to cross thousands of rivers and mountains. The Eldar. In other words, the foundations of the races in the 3 great continents were not directly exposed to the outside world, but existed in secret realms one after another. These secret realms, they were all created by the powerhouses of the various races in the past. After countless years of development, they had reached a point where they could be used as the foundation of the races. These secret realms each had a roughly fixed area. As one of the ancient races, the Eldar's secret realms were no secret. At this moment, inside the Eldar's secret realms, there were countless mountains. Inside an incomparably huge palace. An old man opened his eyes from cultivation, and a puzzled expression flashed across his eyes. What's going on? Why do I feel uneasy all of a sudden? Is something about to happen? He was the great elder of the Eldar, Pan Huang. Excluding the Eldar Ling Huang, who was in seclusion, this Eldar Great Elder was the strongest. This time, many powerhouses of the Eldar had left the Earth's spirit secret realm to besiege the human race. Pan Huang was still guarding this place, and did not make any rash moves. This was to ensure the safety of the secret realm. At his level of cultivation, he would not have a sudden impulse for no reason. Once he had a sudden impulse, it meant that things were definitely not simple. Thinking of this, Pan Huang's expression turned gloomy, and his mind was filled with thoughts. This time, 3 powerhouses of my race died in battle. Could it be that some race thinks that our Eldar is weak and wants to take this opportunity to attack our Earth's spirit secret realm? Could it be the other 5 elements Eldar, the Golden Horn Beast race, or the heaven-devouring Python race? Pan Huang kept making guesses. There were only so many races that the Eldar had a death feud with. No matter what, the Eldar was not a weak race. Although it was not as strong as the top races like the monster race and the god race or the ancient Buddha race, it was not a race that anyone could provoke. A race that had a feud with the Eldar and was not destroyed by the Eldar. In fact, only races of the same level could do that. Pan Huang was not sure. Which race was going to attack the Eldar? Thinking of this, Pan Huang immediately sent a message. Soon, two people walked in from outside. One was a burly middle-aged man with a resolute expression, and the other was an old man about the same age as Pan Huang. Divine Guardian Pan Yu, greets the Great Elder. Please take a seat. Seeing the arrival of the two, Pan Huang's expression eased a little. The outside world only thought that the Eldar had 5 celestial beings, but that was not the case. Among them, he and the current Divine Guardian Pan Wu were the strongest. That was not the case. The Earth's spirit race also had another almighty expert, and that was the previous Divine Spirit Protector General, Pan Yu. Different from Pan Wu. Pan Yu was stronger, and had reached the 9th level of the celestial being realm. However, the Eldar announced that Pan Yu had died of exhaustion and completely hid this top expert. There was only one reason for doing so. That was to increase the foundation of the Eldar, and at the same time, to catch the races that were plotting against the Eldar off guard. Great Elder summoned us. What happened? Before Pan Wu could speak, the previous Divine Guardian Pan Yu had already asked. He had entered seclusion. He was looking for an opportunity to break through to the 10th level of the celestial being realm. Pan Huang would not look for him if it was not necessary. Hearing that, Pan Huang's expression was solemn as he said, I feel uneasy. If I'm not wrong, there should be other races that want to harm our Eldar. Which race? Pan Yu's expression was also solemn. He did not question Pan Huang's words. It was normal for cultivators at their level to feel something. Especially Pan Huang, as the great elder of the Eldar, was connected to the Eldar's luck. He was more sensitive to many things. Pan Huang shook his head and said, I'm not sure yet. I feel something too. Pan Yu also sensed something and asked curiously, What's going on? Why did Pan Shan and the others' auras disappear? Pan Shan and the others have died. What? Pan Yu was shocked. He had been cultivating in seclusion and did not pay any attention to what happened to the Eldar. This time, after receiving Pan Huang's message, he came out of seclusion. As for Pan Shan's matter, Pan Yu did not know anything. Pan Huang did not speak. Pan Wu said in a deep voice, The human race opened the heaven and earth restriction of the eastern continent. Gods, demons, blood spirits, ancient Buddhas, and more than 10 other races besieged the human race. Unfortunately, they suffered a great defeat. Because of this, our race lost 3 mighty figures. Now, the only mighty figures left in the Eldar are you, me, and the Great Elder. His words. Pan Yu was shocked. Didn't the human race decline in the war 200,000 years ago? Why is the human race still so powerful now? The news of the human race's reappearance was shocking. However, what really shocked Pan Yu was the strength of the human race. So many races besieged the human race, but they still lost. Not only did they lose, but the Eldar also lost 3 mighty figures. When did this happen? A human trapped in the eastern continent had already possessed such strength. Pan Huang said, The human race is not strong. The real strong ones are the current emperor of the human race and another human. The emperor of the human race is very strong? Very strong! Pan Huang nodded and said with a sigh. The emperor fought against the immortal emperor, the demon emperor, the bloodling Huang, and the ancient Buddha emperor. In the end, the 4 emperors were severely injured and fled. It was because of this that the attack on the human race failed. Moreover, in the human race, other than the emperor, there is also a terrifying expert who severely injured the high priest of the god race. In addition, the human race has at least 2 Zhu Bing. Although the human race does not have many experts, with such a foundation, The other races have no way to fight against them. Pan Yu fell into a daze. Fighting against 4 emperors alone. 2 Zhu Bing. This news was simply too shocking. In comparison, it was easier to accept that the human race had an expert who could severely injure the high priest of the god race. In other words, the human race now has 2 supreme experts and 2 Zhu Bing. Pan Yu, who understood, took a deep breath. If that was the case, the defeat of the other races was pardonable. With such strength, unless the other races really did not care about the cost of casualties, it would not be easy to destroy the human race. Pan Huang said, "We can put the matter of the human race aside for now. I can feel that the Earth Eldar's fate is turbulent. There must be other experts who want to take advantage of the fact that our Eldar is weak to attack us. Now that the Emperor is in seclusion, with the 3 of us guarding the Earth's spirit secret realm and the help of our race's fate, even if the supreme experts of the other races come, we are confident that we can fight them." Pan Wu said in a deep voice. "If the other races want to attack our Eldar, they have to consider whether they can bear the price." In response to Pan Huang's words, he was not too worried. The Earth's spirit secret realm was the base of the Earth Eldar. For hundreds of thousands of years, or even millions of years, the Earth Eldar had given birth to many experts. At its peak, there were even true immortals among the Eldar. The secret realm they were in now. It had been nurtured by generations of experts. To put it bluntly, the current Earth's spirit secret realm was no different from a small world. Here, the Earth Eldar was the strongest. It was not easy to forcefully enter the Earth's spirit secret realm from the outside world. Even if the supreme experts of the other races wanted to break through, it was impossible. Because of a secret realm. It was the foundation of a race. The most powerful means of a race was the secret realm of their race. Pan Huang said, "It's better to be careful. It is not a problem for us to guard the Earth's spirit secret realm, but I am afraid that the other party will use some means to divide our strength. So from now on, no one is allowed to leave the Earth's spirit secret realm. All the people in the outside world should return to the secret realm. Without my order, anyone who dares to leave will be punished as traitors." "No problem. At this time, we should be more cautious." Pan Wu and Pan Yu did not object. Then, Pan Huang gave the order as the great elder of the Earth Eldar. Soon, the order was sent out of the secret realm. All the Earth Eldar that existed in various places rushed back without hesitation after receiving the order. "What's wrong with the Earth Eldar? Why did they all retreat? I'm not sure. Could it be that other races are attacking the Earth's spirit secret realm? It's possible." When the players from the 3 continents saw this scene, they started to think about what to do next. If there was really a race war, then it would be a powerful battle. In the face of such a war, there would definitely be many missions. If they could participate, there would be many benefits. A player laughed and said, "In the last race war, we were too weak to accept missions. We can't miss it this time. I heard that many experts died in that battle. The Earth Spirit Clan even lost a few almighties." Judging from the situation, could it be that the other clans saw through the Earth Spirit Clan's weakness and wanted to take advantage of it to attack? There were also players who voiced their guesses. Hearing this, immediately someone replied, "Who cares if they're taking advantage of the situation? Anyway, let's go to the Earth's spirit secret realm and take a look. But we have to be careful not to let the bastards from the Red Jade Great World and the 9 Moons Great World interfere. This is our Western Continent's business. If those bastards from the 2 Great Worlds dare to come in, they'll have to drop at least 1 level before they can leave." "That's true, but we still have to keep the news a secret. Those 2 Great Worlds have noses as sharp as dogs. If there's news, they won't let go of this opportunity. F***ck them. If I have the chance, I'll definitely teach those players from the 2 Great Worlds a lesson." At the mention of the Red Jade Great World and the 9 Moons Great World, many players looked angry. It was different from the Eastern Continent. The 3 continents had always been connected. Therefore, the players from the 3 continents had always been in conflict. There had even been a few battles between the players. However, the players were immortal and there were too many players in each continent. Every time a war broke out, it would end without a conclusion. Just as the Earth Eldar had all retreated back into the Earth's spirit realm, Qin Shujian had finally arrived at the Earth Eldar's territory. Looking at the Earth Eldar's city in front of him, he simply glanced at it, and did not pay any attention to it. In the city, although there were remnants of the Earth Eldar's aura, there was not a single Earth Eldar's clansman. If he guessed correctly, the Earth Eldar must have sensed something and made such a move. Regarding this, Qin Shujian was not surprised, because the sixth sense of a powerhouse was particularly strong. If someone wanted to harm him or Yuan Zong at this time, Qin Shujian would be able to sense it immediately. The same logic. If he wanted to harm the Earth Eldar's powerhouses would definitely sense it. Senior, can you sense where the Earth's spirit realm is located? Qin Shujian stood where he was and spread out his divine thought, covering the entire space within 10,000 miles. But after a few breaths, there was nothing. According to the information from Yuan Zong, the location of the Earth Eldar's secret realm was definitely within 10,000 miles of here. In the Sea of Consciousness, the God Slayer trembled and wisps of sword chi overflowed. After a while, a low voice sounded. 3,000 miles to your left is the Earth Eldar's secret realm. Hearing this, Qin Shujian followed the God Slayer's instructions and walked 3,000 miles forward. Looking at the surrounding mountains, his divine thought carried out a carpet search. After a while, Qin Shujian gave up the idea of searching. Senior, are you sure that the Earth Eldar's secret realm exists here? Yes, these ancient races' secret realms were all created by the ancient true immortals in the past. Although they exist by relying on the surrounding space, they are also integrated with this space. If there is no specific way to open the entrance of the secret realm, unless your perception has reached an extremely strong level, you won't be able to sense anything. The God Slayer explained. How could a space created by an ancient true immortal be simple? Qin Shujian was silent for a moment and said, Then with Zhu Bing's sharpness, can he forcefully break open the secret realm? Of course. At the mention of Zhu Bing, the God Slayer's tone became arrogant. Zhu Bing is the most powerful divine weapon in the world. He can even kill an ancient true immortal, let alone a space created by an ancient true immortal. In that case, there is no need to waste any time. Qin Shujian smiled. It was good that Zhu Bing could break open it. Since he knew that the secret realm existed here, there was no need to waste time looking for it bit by bit. Sometimes breaking through with brute force was the most effective. Immediately, a stone saber appeared in Qin Shujian's hand. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.